All right, it's Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Apparently, there's football that's going to be played somewhere, but until then, you have time to enjoy Dungeons and Dragons Greyhawk style. Hey, Brantley, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Wiley Hobbit. I'll be your dungeon master. I'm also the founder of the feast, if you will, the host of this here little channel. And man, are we excited to play some Ds and some Ds. I do have to say, though, we are going to be without a third of our rogues. Baldwin O'Farrell is visiting family today in real life, so he will just be a silent tag-along partner in our narrative. That's how I tend to do that when characters have to miss for one reason or another, rather than turn myself inside and out trying to make it make sense in the tale. We just kind of let him go dark for the session. And yeah, so welcome everybody. We're going to play D&D 5e, and it's going to be good and fun. It's set in Greyhawk. We're in the region known as Ratic, or perhaps Ratic, depending on how you like to say things in the Flanaess. But yeah, welcome one and all. Let's go round the horn and let's meet our characters. So give us a little description of whatever you want to say about your characters. We go around. We'll start with Blarg down there in the bottom left corner. With the, do you know you have a fire behind you?
I did not know that.
Yes, you should
check that out. If we take a break,
I'm sure everything is fine, but
I'm sure it is. Hey everybody, I'm Chris, WikiVA on Discord and Twitch. I am playing Blarg, the 4th level goblin rogue mastermind linguist. And I know that sounds overly powered to all of you out there. Just bear with me. It's really all I've got is massive character power. It's the only way I can, stay in the game. So I look for the edges of the rules and I exploit them the best of my ability.
Linguist. Yes, goblin linguist. Okay, let's go up one space to Daryl Nimblebottom, ladies and gentlemen.
Daryl is a dwarf Tempest cleric that comes from the Vespi Forest. He's got a big family, and he is a nice guy on the outside, but maybe not so nice on the inside.
Secrets. Secrets.
Oh, wow.
That's where we're going.
Nice. I like it.
Got a big lore dump there.
Yeah. The smallest of big lore dumps. Yes.
That's right.
A teaspoonful of giganticness of lore.
Big
yes.
family of little folk.
That's right.
That's right. Big family of little folk. He's one dwarf in a family of hobbits. So
yeah.
It's all good. He's happy with that, but yeah, we'll see what the inner side of Daryl is.
The inner game of Daryl.
That's
nice. Right. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Very good. And you just joined us midway through the session last time, if memory serves. You were actually
Daryl came riding up on his horse.
He began the game
Bingo.
in the guise of Bingo Nimblebottom, who's one of the hobbits of the Nimblebottom collection. Yeah.
He took his brother's place, and he's hopefully going to do him justice in the adventuring group here.
Yeah. Very good. All right, let's go on screen to the right. Eredith Carwin. What's going on, Carl?
Hello, everyone. I'm Carl on the Discord. I am Carnage, both with a K. I play the mysterious Eredith Carwin, Shadar-kai arcane archer from the Shadowfall, who finds himself in this mysterious new world of Greyhawk, trapped here. He's just met what could potentially be a new group of friends. Will he meet more today? We'll find out.
We may just find out, yes.
And why
Very
does
good.
the dog have to bark every time I start talking?
Absolutely.
Because.
Hey, Lord Gazumba, thank you for the, what do you call that? Sub. Yeah, so if you want lots of Greyhawk, check those guys out. Yeah, he's been a long-time supporter. Thank you very much, Jay. And as you see by the purple check mark, he's like the real deal. He's a Twitch partner. So congratulations on that recent accomplishment, Jay. Lots and lots and lots of Greyhawk goodness over there. Sunday nights this week, due to that football game, will be Monday night. And he's going to be talking a little bit about There Be Dragons. And as soon as I remember the command, I will type it successfully in chat. We got a little mega stream fundraiser coming up. And Monday night, we're going to have several of the streamers in that conversation. So check that out on Jay's channel. Okay, let's go to our final character who's with us today, Hebney Cragbeam.
What's up, everybody! Dave here, excited to reprise my role as Hebney Craigbeam. When I developed his backstory, it was essentially 2 words, rage tinkering. So he is a gnome barbarian of the wild magic flavor, and when he gets ticked off in the workshop, look out, because weird shit starts happening. That's actually why he got kicked out of the guild, was because things went sideways real quick. So don't touch his tools. Stay out of his way when he's swinging his hammer. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. If people want to check out some of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm over on the Guild Superior Twitch channel on Wednesdays, running a Greyhawk-based game called Beyond Saltmarsh. That's been going on for over 2 years now, which is crazy to think about. And then on Thursday nights, we're playing a fun game called Kids on Brooms, which is just goofy and whimsical and lots of shenanigans. So yeah, stop on by and check it out.
Yeah. Everybody needs a little whimsy in their life. Got a link to Dave's channel in the chat there. Highly recommend that. And Doc Shoulder playing Daryl Nimblebottom. Thanks for that sub. 9 months of support. Sure do appreciate that, man. Okay, very good. So that's our characters. Again, we're missing Baldwin O'Farrell. Enoch Pratt is the person behind the Dwarven Rogue, unable to join us today due to some family commitments. And so hopefully he will be back with us next time in 2 weeks when we take to the streets of Caverick's Cove once again. So, quick narrative catch-up, and then we'll dive into this thing. This is only session 2, and today's session is entitled New Kid in Town. So take from that what you will. The party is currently not fully formed, actually. Eredith, Daryl, Hebney are on the road with an NPC named Dunbar Fortin, who happens to be trying to clear his name. He's wanted back in his home of Caverick's Cove for the murder of Por Hayerson. And Por is not a descriptor. It's actually a 3-letter P-O-R first name of a Schnai or Schnai, depending on how you like to say it, sort of a frost barbarian ethnicity, fisherman and adventurer who was found dead in his home. Fortin has been implicated mostly because a dagger with his name inscribed upon it was found at the crime scene, rather damning, and some neighbors claim to have seen Fortin entering and exiting the residence of Hayerson the night before Hayerson was found deceased. So long story short, the party did all of this stuff, this investigation and so forth, in a one-shot that we ran during a virtual Greyhawk con back in October, and this game has sprung forth from that. And so the party, along with Dunbar Fortin, is making their way, if you look on the map there, from the west of the town of Grass Flats, which is kind of at the center of Rotic, just east of the Raker Mountains, northeast part of the Flanaess, along Grendip Bay, which is part of the Solnor Ocean. And the party is actually arriving at Grass Flats. They've been on the road a few days, coming from the site of a battle where we discovered that Dunbar was not, in fact, the murderer. And they're on their way back to, they took a bounty to find Dunbar. And they're on their way back to Caverick's Cove to collect their bounty, and it turns out Dunbar claims to be innocent, because, the criminals, they never did it anyway. And so they're going to make a stop in the town of Grass Flats, you see on the map. And they're arriving, they're just on the west edge of this small little town. And the interesting thing is they had a horse come upon them on the trail. And when they managed to get the horse woed up, noting that it was riderless, thanks in no small part to Eredith Carwin and his excellent animal handling skills, they discovered that there was a body, a deceased human male, middle to late middle-aged. Thanks for those bits on the hype train action there, Dave. Thank you so much for that. But this human who had been brutally hacked to death, seemingly by axe blades, some sort of large-edged weapon, was strapped sort of cargo style over the saddle, tarped up, and had a shield that was strapped over his back so as to be easily found and seen, apparently. And so I've put the heraldry on the stream there so the viewers can see that. But that was the shield. Behind the horse, attached to a rope length of 15 to 20 feet, clattered along noisily most of a breastplate. The breastplate had been cloven in two. The larger part of that breastplate was tied to a rope and was being drugged behind the horse. The heraldry upon that breastplate, etched into the metal itself, was a fist clenching a lightning bolt. And this human male looked to be in pretty good shape, in fighting shape. Hey, Gazumba, thank you for the bits. We're rocking the hype train. Woo! Thank you very much, friends, for that support. Very, very much appreciated. And so the party took what was takeable from the saddlebags and investigated things and decided to quickly truss up the corpse and make their way to grass flats, not knowing precisely or for sure what on earth they had found or had found them. One bit of interesting information on that is that strapped to the armband inside the shield, tied very tightly, was a scroll tube that had been sealed with red wax. And the signet that was pressed into the seal matched that of the heraldry on the shield. And some gibberish was scrawled hastily upon the scroll tube. Nobody was able to discern it, if only there were a linguist among them. But the linguist happens to be in grass flats at the Prairies Edge Inn. And that is where our scene will open. Jonathan Cumberbunch. Did I have that right? Is that right?
That's right.
Yes, Jonathan Cumberbunch, a goblin, has been seated for the better part of an hour or so on the evening of 7 Patchwall. Patchwall being the 10th month of the year, so we've just passed Brewfest by about 7 days. And he's eating a fine meal of roast parsnips, with a basted axbeak egg laying atop them with a sumptuous white gravy, a little salty but quite savory. He struck up a conversation with a local, apparently a local, a fellow who goes by the name The Man. He does have a proper name. See if I can grab that for you here while I'm looking around. Miles Group is his name, but everybody calls him The Man. Apparently he's handy or helpful or some such arrangement. Grover Blacksburg is the proprietor. The barkeep has a rather large, prominent belt buckle that he wears and seems to be quite proud and fond of. And then there's just one other pair of people in the inn, or excuse me, the tavern. It is a single-story tavern, and they seem to have taken interest in the goblin. And I wouldn't characterize it as a friendly interest. It's a half-elven gentleman and a younger daughter, maybe 16, 17, 18 years old. He looks to be, certainly old enough to be her father. And they wear the plain clothes of farmers, commoners, if you will, perhaps a bit dusty from the trail or farming or whatever it may be, but he seems to have taken a bit of an interest in the conversations and the arrival of the goblin. And it is there in the rather rustic, rather Spartan interior of the Prairie's Edge that we will begin our session. Again, we're in Grass Flats. Grass Flats is a very small town. You can see on the map that I've handily covered up with the heraldry. There we go. Grass Flats is a town of about 1,475 souls, but they're relatively scattered. Thank you very much for that sub, Blue Box RPG. Welcome. I think I've got a shout out for you, my dude. Good to see you, John. Let's see what comes up when I type that. Yeah, they're going to be playing some D&D this afternoon over on their channel. We'll probably raid into you guys. So, yeah. Grass Flats is a small town. It's literally in the grasslands, and it's very flat. There are not a lot of dwellings. It's about 12 miles southwest of where our story is centered. If you see that little green dot on the coastline to the northeast of Grass Flats, that is Caverick's Cove. And that is where we will be arriving eventually, should the party live to see the end of their journey. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So we are in the Prairie's Edge Tavern. Again, single story. No more than probably 30 by 40. It's a stone and timber constructed tap house. And again, Grover Blacksburg is the proprietor. And Blarg will have you seated and eating your supper. I believe you had just had a conversation with Miles, the Man group. And so here we are.
So Blarg is finishing up his delicious dish of parsnips as you just described, and as he's finishing up the parsnips, he lays the fork that he was given down on the bar, and he takes the plate and he just brings it to his face and he licks the plate and he tosses the plate on the bar and he goes, "Grover, those were some delicious parsnips."
Grover wanders over, smiling, beaming, and he looks over and nods at the couple who has been mostly the male half-elf, the older gentleman, who's been eyeballing you, and he kind of nods and he goes, "Well, my compliments really go to my friends over there. They're from Caverick's Cove, way up the way here, and they grow the parsnips, and we're a farm-to-table tap house here, and so you might just thank old Elfar Elderan, that's his daughter, Margot, for providing the parsnips. But I prepare them. It's a special recipe from my family. It's an old Blacksburg favorite, roast parsnips with axe beak egg and white gravy.
Well, it's delicious, and I can assure you that when it's time for my next meal in an hour or so, I'm going to come back.
Well,
But
we'll be here.
I will give my regards to Elfar, the parsnip guy. And Blarg is going to stand up, and he's going to walk over to the table where Elfar is.
Okay.
And he's
As you do that, he looks at Margot with maybe a little bit of a stern warning look. Quickly shoots her a look and puts his hand on his quarterstaff and looks at you. I would say up at you, but again, how tall is Jonathan Cumberbunch?
He is 3'8".
3'8", so he probably looks more down at you. Elfar Elderan is let me get to my little screen here, is a half-elf. He kind of nondescript fellow, sandy brown hair, keeps it nice and short, sort of almost a flat top, if you will. Seems to have literal salt of the earth upon him, dust of the road, if you will. And he looks up. "You there. What brings you here?" Very suspiciously.
Please forgive the intrusion. My name is Cumberbunch, Jonathan Cumberbunch, and I just had the most delicious dish of roasted parsnips, and I'm told that you are the artisan that grew these very parsnips. So I came over to tell you how wonderful they are and how I look forward to the next time I can enjoy your parsnips.
Oh, he kind of seems taken aback, kind of leans back and sets his quarterstaff gently against the table, keeps his hand on the table beside it. Well, I'm certainly glad you enjoyed them. We don't get many of your ilk on the road. Pardon my defensiveness. This is my daughter, Margot. And as my friend over there mentioned, we are the Elderans. We come from Caverick's Cove, and I do a fair amount of business with the parsnips. They're from down well south of here. No one else grows them. And yes, he prepares them wonderfully. So I'm grateful that you enjoyed them.
Well, and he turns to Margot and says, the pleasure of meeting you, Margot, is all mine. And he turns back to the father and he says, "Well, you really have something delicious here, and I am honored that I was able to enjoy them here. Let me ask you a question. Do you know? I'm looking for a friend of mine. I was supposed to meet him here, Roderick. Do you know of Roderick?
Is Roderick also a goblin?
Well, I can see why you might think I was a goblin, but that's a story for another time, I suppose. No, he is a human. He is tall, very stern-looking, sometimes armored. He's a warrior type, a soldier. Comes into town. Grover was telling me, or Miles the guy, I think it was telling me that he saw Roderick in town a couple of weeks ago. I was supposed to meet him here this very evening.
Aside from trips to grass flats with my family, I pretty much keep to my farm. No one I can think of fits that description, but if I see him on the road, we're headed back to Caverick's Cove here shortly. If I see him on the road, we'll be sure to let him know that... what was your name again?
Jonathan Cumberbunch. Yes, please let him know that Jonathan Cumberbunch is looking forward to seeing him in grass flats.
Great. Can you, for the enjoyment of our viewers, Chris, can you re-describe Blarg's appearance?
Sure. So Blarg is a goblin, sort of a goblin, and he is 3'8". He is currently wearing a large, oversized cloak that's hooded, and he keeps the hood up keeps the hood up so that his goblinness is concealed. However, as he gets up close to someone, it's harder to conceal that goblinness.
Yes, it is.
But he has soft leather armor that he's wearing underneath that cloak, and his pantaloons apparently fasten from behind.
It's an important,
greenish, yellowish in color.
It's an important detail, the pantaloon fastening.
It is.
Yes.
Very important. So Blarg will say, well, it was very nice to meet you. I am going to take my leave. I need to secure some lodgings for this evening and explore more of this wonderful town.
Oh, yes. Well, speaking of wonderful towns, will you be making your way eastward to the Cove by any chance?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm here to meet my friend, Roderick.
Roderick, yes.
Yep. And depending on how that meeting goes, will determine my next course of action, where I travel next. And I certainly hope it is east towards Caverick's Cove, because that would give me yet another opportunity, I believe, to enjoy these wonderful parsnips.
Oh, yes, indeed, it would. The Blushing Nereid serves them. Yes, you can find them there as well, yes.
Well, I will certainly seek that out.
They're fondly enjoyed across the region.
And I certainly understand why.
Well, I must say, I have judged you harshly, and I do apologize. You must understand, being on the road with my daughter, who hasn't really looked up much. When you greeted her, she nodded very shyly, smiled. But you must please excuse my guarded nature.
I understand, and I have traveled the road for a while now, and I have learned as I travel around this fine realm that one shouldn't paint with a broad brush.
Okay.
Good evening.
Well, yes, good evening, and I hope that you do find your friend.
Thank you.
Yes.
And he'll start walking towards the door and leave the tavern.
Okay. The Elderans will rise and head to the bar, presumably to conclude their business with what's the root there? The bartender. Why is my brain dead? Grover. Sorry. Yeah. So you exit. There's not a ton of stuff in grass flats. Who knew, right? There are a number of small dwellings. There is, you saw it on the way in, kind of a story and a half, maybe the largest building in the town, albeit not that large. A timber frame. It's a kind of a mercantile, Yarners, Gear and Sundries. And that sits right at the corner, kind of catty corner opposite the Prairies Edge Tavern.
Is there a place, if I had a horse, is there a place where I could stable that horse?
You would presume maybe at Yarver's. It's you've seen a couple horses tethered out front, people coming and going. It seems to be that that is probably the focal point, center of activity for this small little town of a few dozen houses. A lot of farms dotting the landscape on your way in. But maybe 25, 30 homes and small farms aside from this very micro downtown.
So Blarg is going to head over to Yarver's,
Yes. Okay.
and he's gonna. I take it it's still open. I think it was the afternoon when I
Yes.
arrived.
It is, yeah. Lantern hangs in the window, indicating its openness. The door. This is again 10th month of the year, so the door is propped open. It's a mild evening. Stars are out.
I'm gonna stroll on in to Yarver's.
Very well. Yeah, the floorboards creak. It has that smell of worked metal, grain, leather, smoke. Just smells like an outfitter, that sort of place. Creaky wooden floors, bins and shelves. There are a couple of rows of bins and shelves kind of through the center of the floor plan. There's a counter at the back. There's what looks to be a rather large archway that empties into a space behind, and you see all manner of outfitting type things, gear for the road, adventuring, some farming, perhaps implements, shovels, hoes, rakes. There look to be a couple of locals in there, humans, again dressed in sort of the plain drab farmer sort of the clothing that you've come to expect here out in the middle of almost nowhere. And there is a youngish human male kind of bustling about, helping the 4 or 5 customers that are in there. Kind of a sandy-haired lad, couldn't be maybe more than 30 seasons along. He's got a leather apron, woolen breeches, and a tunic. And he's appears to be the person taking care of business at the moment.
I'm gonna walk up to that person.
Sure.
And say, "Good evening."
He turns around and looks, and then looks down, perhaps expecting a taller person. Yeah, good evening. Yarvin here. What can I do for you?
I'm Jonathan Cumberbunch, and I'm looking for someone.
Cumberbunch.
Yeah, you know the Cumberbunches.
Can't say that I do.
Well, we're originally from the free city of Greyhawk.
Oh, right. Well, you've traveled some way then. How can I help you?
Well, I'm looking for a friend of mine, and I have a feeling that he may have stopped in here. His name is Roderick. Human, very stern looking, probably armored, has a horse that I believe he might have wanted to board for a time here. I hear he was in town a couple of weeks ago.
Roderick. Sir Roderick, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Yes, Knight Protector, if memory serves.
Indeed.
Yes, fine man. Yes, he was through here a couple of weeks ago, headed west. He did stop and board his horse, spent, I believe, an evening or two over at Sleep Easy in one of the bungalows there, and was back out of town and very quiet as normal. He doesn't say much.
Indeed. He didn't happen to mention where he was going, did he?
Oh, no. He provisioned himself with some rations and a bit of... he replaced a saddle, I believe. Said the one was giving him issues in the posterior. It's become quite worn.
Well, I've always told him that he should buy pantaloons that fasten in the rear. It makes for a much more comfortable ride.
Awkward silence.
Trust me on that.
Yes, well... Cumberbunch. He kind of leans in and gives you an inquisitive look. Very observant young chap, almost wise beyond his years. And then he kind of catches himself when he starts to kind of compute, sees your features, maybe your bony, bulbous nose, the pallid, greenish yellow. Oh! And you see him kind of reach for something at his side, only to discover that it is not there. Yes, and he backs up a couple steps. So what is it that you want with Roderick, Mr. Cumberbunch?
Well, let's not get all jumpy, first of all. Roderick is my friend, and he and I were scheduled to meet this very evening at the tavern, and I have yet to see him.
Have you been to the tavern?
I enjoyed a wonderful meal of roast parsnips.
Elderan's parsnips. Yes.
Yes.
Best in the
And-
area. In fact, the
Yes.
only parsnips in the area.
Yes, and I became concerned because he didn't meet me at the scheduled time, and I thought perhaps my friend Roderick came here to be provisioned.
No, haven't seen him since he left.
I wonder
again, some
when-
maybe two weeks ago.
Yes, I wonder when he left, he took his horse with him, I presume.
Of course, yes, always does.
Can you? I'm curious. Could you point me to the location where his horse was kept while he was in town?
Oh well, certainly. If you go back out and around behind the main building, we've got a small stable back there. He just helps himself. He takes the horse back there and gets it settled in, and then comes in around front. Yes.
I'd just like to look around. I hope that's okay.
Certainly. Why don't I take you back there myself?
Sure, that would be great.
He slips his apron off, fusses about behind the counter for a moment, and comes back out. You can roll perception if you like.
I can roll perception if I like. I'm sure that'll be fine.
Sure, that'll be.
I'm sure that'll be awesome. I got a 10.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that he is now girding his right hip as a short sword in a leather scabbard.
Okay, so he didn't have it there before. and
Correct.
now He does.
Yes, he took his apron off and fussed about behind the counter a bit, and then comes back out, apronless and girded with short sword.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was. Please lead the way. I'm curious to.
Oh yes, of course. Please follow me. And he leads you out the front. After locking there's a kind of a door that he has to pull from the inside of the next space, and fusses with a key, very quickly locks it. Kind of gives a knowing look at some of the patrons, and they look at you, and they look at him, and they look at you, and he nods, and they nod, and then he leads you out the front door. Come this way. Stable's run back. Did you ride a horse in?
No,
Not into the building, but I mean into town.
no horse.
Okay. All right, and he leads you around the building, and sure enough, as he described, there's a small stable. It is open air, save for one end of it that is a kind of a small room where you presume probably some gear and maybe a person might be in there as well. And there are no horses presently stabled. There's 4 stanchions or stalls. It's reasonably tidy.
I'm going to turn to him and say, do you mind if I look around the stalls a little bit?
No, by all means. I'll just stand back and you can do your thing. Yes, and he kind of stands back, and his hand just kind of casually drops to his sword hilt.
I'm going to.
And he watches.
I'm gonna before I begin the search, I'm gonna take a gold coin out, and I'm gonna offer it to him and say, I really appreciate you taking time away from your business to show me around. I'm really concerned about my friend Roderick.
I see, good man. And he takes your coin and he looks at it. Oh, yes, of course. Kind of drops his hand from his sword hilt. You will have to pardon my concern, my suspicion. We're in the middle of nowhere at the intersection of 2 trade roads, and we don't get many of your kind in. And yes, so please, pardon me.
Well,
Look about.
I certainly understand, and I mean you no harm. I'm just concerned about my friend.
Yes, you seem to be well spoken for a goblin. I've not had, any conversations. Very pleasant.
Well, thank you.
Not to say that goblins aren't well spoken, but okay. So have a look around.
I'm gonna search this area for anything that's unusual.
Okay.
What Blarg is thinking is, perhaps if his friend Broderick got called away for some reason, that he may have left something to tell me. So I'm going to look for that.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an investigation roll. I think
I'm
would be
going
the
to
most
use-
appropriate skill.
I'm going to use one of my advantages because my rolling sucks. And you said investigation.
Fair enough. Yes, investigation I think would be the right tool for the job.
All right. So let me roll it again. 21. So I got a 21.
21. Yeah, so you look around, there's 4 stanchions, there's several bales of straw stacked. You can see there's a bin with a lid that you look in there. It's just got like a little leather thong that kind of affixes it to a hook. You could just unhook it. And there's grain, oats in one half of it, and then there's like shell corn in the other half. There is a couple of bags of dried apples hanging in kind of rope mesh bags. There's the implements you might see for shoeing horses, the file and the hammer, the nails, the anvil, a rake for cleaning things up out of the straw and such. All the stuff you'd expect to see. The little building that's sort of attached, the door is actually open, and in there you see some more tools. You see a cot. It's just like a little 20 by 20 space. Mostly things are stacked or set on a workbench. All the things you would expect for like tack and harness and taking care of the equine. And it looks like it's like a little mini bunkhouse where a stable employee might reside from time to time.
So nothing out of the ordinary other than what you described.
No.
I'm going to say to the proprietor whose name I've already forgotten.
Kelsey Yarner.
Kelsey Grammer. I'm going to say thank you for showing me around. I appreciate your willingness to do that. I am going to be in town for a little while. I wonder where one might stay. I heard that Miles the guy told me that there were cottages.
You've met the guy. Very good, very good. Yeah. Can't go wrong there. Yes, actually, Sleep Easy. If you look up, it's just a nice home here in town. She has a number of bungalows, cottages on her property. She has several acres. Very pleasant, very nice. Nora Gremble is her name. Just look her up, and she can secure lodgings. We don't get many overnights this time of year. Brewfest behind us and the like. So I'm sure she has at least one vacancy.
I appreciate that. I'm going to go see her right now. Thank you. Thank you very much for your hospitality.
Sure. Very well, then.
And he's going to...
Pleased to meet you. And he kind of escorts you back up front.
The pleasure is all mine. And then he's going to leave this place and walk towards the Sleep Easy.
Very good, yeah. So you walk northward along the trade road. And, just a few hundred yards to kind of the north end of town, if there is an end. And you do see, as described, a nice little single-story house, little gabled roof, and around it, in no real particular order, are a number of a little bit smaller, like single-room cottages or bungalows. Some of them are tucked away in little groups of trees. There's some shrubbery. It's decently maintained. The grass is kept fairly short compared to some of the other lots in town, and you do hear the bleating of goats and/or sheep. There is a fence, just a simple split rail fence that kind of circles the. If you had to guess, I don't know what sort of a surveyor Jonathan Cumberbunch might be, but if you had to guess, maybe 5-6 acres of grassland with some trees here and there. Maybe a half dozen cottages. There's a nice sort of a flagstone walk that leads to the front door of the house. There's a candle in a sconce beside the front door, and it's lit.
I'm going to walk up to the front door, and I'm going to knock.
Yeah, okay. As you go to knock, the door is yanked open. And you see before you a stout, red-haired female human, age indiscernible. Her hair a bit askance. Blood on her house dress. In splotches and drips. Some smudges on her face, on her hands. Oh, hello. Yes, may I help you? Looking for a room, I suppose?
Indeed, I am. In fact,
She's wiping her hands.
I was just at the provisioning shop.
Oh, yes, Yavas, yes, very well.
Yes, I met the most delightful man, Kelsey.
Ah, yeah,
who,
fine chap.
Who spoke very highly of you and said that I should come here.
You'll have to excuse, I'm a bit of a mess. It seems my horse has gotten into a bit of a scrape. Old Clarence wanders off sometimes. He likes to jump the fence, and he's in rather rough shape, and I'm a bit of a mess, but I do have a cottage if you wish.
Yeah, I do. I would like that. And in fact, I am here in town to meet a friend of mine named Roderick.
Oh, yes, Roderick the Knight. Sir Roderick, yes, good chap.
I understand he stayed here a couple of nights ago. And if it's possible, I might like to have, and if it's available, I might like to reserve the very same cottage he slept in.
Oh, yes, well, it's been slow. You can certainly do so. It's the third one back there. We can square up in the morning. I do apologize. I need to get cleaned up.
Well, thank you very much.
Very well. Nora Gremble, by the way.
Oh, Cumberbunch. Jonathan
Cumberbunch. Don't know any Cumberbunches, but...
Well, my family hails from the free city of Greyhawk.
Oh, well, yes, quite a ways away then.
Yes,
that would
far.
Explain. Yes, oh, very well. Will you be needing any bathing, food in the morning? Are you hungry now?
He'll No, I don't think I'm going to need any bathing. And I just had a delicious dish of parsnips at the tavern. So I think I'm good on food.
Ah, yes, roast parsnips with the egg.
Yes.
Yes, very nice. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, Grover does a nice job. He just took over the inn, 3-4 months ago. Yeah.
You know what he has? He has a beautiful belt buckle.
He does, doesn't he? Yes, I want to know the story behind. There's got to be a story behind the belt buckle.
I hope someday to find a buckle at least comparable.
I think it might be a little large for you.
Well,
and she reaches over quickly, spry, and tugs your hood down. Well, you are a goblin indeed. Interesting.
Well,
handsome one, too.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
She kind of pinches your warty little bony cheek. Barely could get a hold of it. Little smear of blood. I must tend to Clarence, then. We'll see you in the morning.
Thank you very much.
Feel free to build a fire in the hearth. There's firewood out back, privy, not centrally located. She kind of taps her head to show her wisdom. Privy to the back of the property, should you need it.
Oh, I'll take my leave in a moment. One more question.
Oh, of course, yes.
Since Roderick slept in this room, has anyone else done so?
No, I don't believe so. No. But it's been cleaned. Do we clean right away? Yes.
Of course. Good night, ma'am.
Yes, good night, Mr. Cumberbunch. Yes. And she shuts
quickly
the door quickly.
He'll quickly head to the third bungalow and go in.
Yeah, very Spartan. There's a small little sitting table with a simple wooden chair, a little writing desk, a nice little bed, overstuffed mattress full of straw and feathers and things. Typical, maybe lower middle class sort of lodging. Very clean. There is a small hearth. There is some wood stacked beside it. And there's a little place. Hey, thanks for those bits. Kai Wims, welcome. Glad to have you aboard. And just a nice, tidy little place. There's a window on a couple of the walls. It's back in the trees a little bit. It's one of the more secluded cottages. Maybe, 25 by 25 feet roughly square. The buildings themselves are simple, timber and wood. Seams comfy enough. No draft once the door's closed.
Is there only one door in and out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna search the place, looking for the same thing that I was looking for in the stable.
Very good. Go ahead and roll the old investigation. Sorry.
I got a 6.
6. Yeah, you look around and everything appears to be as you would expect it in a just a simple little, bungalow. It's clean, tidy. There's a few simple bits of apparel for cooking and food preparation. There's a little area table up against, kind of fastened to the wall, if you will. Again, it's got the little fireplace. There's a simple kettle and a simple, what do you call that, thing that you hang, kind of like a bucket, but it's called something else. One of those for making, soup or chili. Just a quaint little place, clean. It's a dirt floor, very, very hard packed dirt floor.
The door to this place, does it open inward?
It does.
I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to build a fire. And then I'm going to, at the door, I'm going to set up my crowbar so that if someone opens the door, the crowbar will fall.
How dare you suggest that I would do such a thing? Yeah, that's fine. Just a simple little alarm.
Yep. And then
Very
I'm gonna take it easy and rest up.
Yeah. Why don't you? You have some thieves' tools, right?
I do.
Yeah, and I think, it's been a while since I've DM'd a rogue that's going to do roguely-ish things. I feel like that's a dex roll with your thieves' tools proficiency type thing, right? To use them, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's right.
Let's see how you do setting up your little alarm system with your little crowbar, your little goblin-sized crowbar. It's cute.
So I got a 17.
Yeah, so you get this thing rigged up perfectly. It'll drop. If that door moves anything more than a little buffet of wind, that thing will clatter and you will hear it immediately. You are confident. And there will be unleashed the dread force of a goblin linguist.
Yep.
Goblin fury, no less. I love it.
There'll be curse words in 9 languages, I swear to God.
Yeah. Nice. And you got a little fire going on the hearth. There's kindling. There's all the materials you need, dried mosses and barks, tinder and flint, a little bit bigger wood. There's certainly enough there for you to build a fire that would last you through the evening.
So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna rest up.
Okay. So by rest up, does that mean you're considering a long rest?
It's evening time, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen the most exciting places in grass flats, I feel.
You've been to all the things. You've been to the Prairies Edge Tavern. You've been to Yarner's Gear and Sundries. I think I've called that place 4 different names now in the last 15 minutes. You are now at Sleep Easy. You've met some key NPCs, according to my OneNote notations. You have seen and done what there is to see and do in grass flats.
So I'm going to do that.
No, you haven't. There was some signage indicating in one direction, south of town, Duckett's Vegetable Garden. Sure, a wonder not to be missed.
So I'm going to take my chances with that, and I'm going to take the long rest.
Okay, very good. All right, so you take your long rest, and the night passes uneventfully. Your craftily erected little alarm system goes unmolested, and you get a fitful sleep. We're trying something a little grimmer, a little darker, friends, here in our Greyhawk game. Long rest is not the video game hard reset full HPs. It's half. So had Mr. Cumberbunch, that's his alias, had Blarg sustained any damage this past day, he would only get half of that damage back from his long rest. And same thing goes with any hit dice that are expended during any short rests. So we try to make it just a little more consequential. Meanwhile, Daryl, Eredith, and Hebney they're still ahead of us in time, so guys, just be patient. They're on the outskirts of grass flats, coming in off of what appears to be nothing more at this point than a game trail. as Dunbar Fortin leads them back from the Fidelma's Grove, way west of here, a couple days west of here, with their dead body slumped over a exhausted horse. But before we get to that, morning comes, and Blarg, you feel well rested, safe, content. Your fire has burned down to mere embers on the hearth. Your crowbar is still set to spring at the slightest sign of danger. What do you do?
So I'm gonna make sure the fire's out so I don't burn this lady's house down, and then I'm gonna take the crowbar back, and I'm gonna go to the main house and knock on the door to settle up with her.
Okay. The front door is actually open this morning. It's a beautiful, crisp, clear Patchwall 8 morning. The 8th day of Patchwall, for those of you into such things, is where is it here? Sorry. Consult my notes. Star Day is the name of this day of the week. It's also the equivalent to the first day of the week. And again, Patchwall being the 10th month. So it's a beautiful fall morning, snapping on twigs and some leaves that have begun to fall from some of the early leaf-dropping deciduous trees in the grove that makes up her property. And the door is actually ajar, and you smell the smell of roasting meat. Smells maybe salted, maybe like a bit of pork belly, been smoked. You smell the smell of baked something yummy, breadly-ish, wafting through the ajar front door, and you hear humming and singing.
So I'm gonna knock on the open doorway. Good
Oh,
morning.
yes. Is that you, Mr. Cumberbunch?
Indeed.
Oh.
I had a lovely rest here.
Oh, well, wonderful. This was very nice room, isn't it?
It's a great place, and I'm sure I'll be back. But I came to settle up with you.
Oh, yes, very well, very well. 15 silver then for the night.
15 silver. So I'm gonna give her that.
Glad you found everything to your liking. I have some pork belly, smoked, salted, if you wish. I've been cooking it, and biscuits, fresh biscuits.
You know, I that sounds delightful. However, I think I'm going to head to the tavern and see if my friend Roderick.
Oh, start the drinking early. A good way to start the day. Very nice.
You know, as Roderick always says, that's a joke, because he doesn't really say much.
No, he does not. I thought for sure I was going to get a bit of his tale or two.
No, he's very stern and quiet.
Yes, he is. Does not say much at all. Yes, but he pays well and he tips nicely. And she kind of pauses.
He does. I'm going to give her the rest of the 5 silver pieces.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So thoughtful of you. Yes.
And have a good day, man. And
Oh, yeah, you as well. She's much more tidy today. Her hair, beautiful red hair, pulled back in a bun. Again, hard to tell age-wise. She's human, got to be, past middle-aged, but it's just hard putting a number on it. Very matronly. She's in very, very plain white blouse, house dress, sort of, prairie skirt, I should say, not so much a house dress, with a white apron. Everything is crisp, clean, neat. Very different picture than what you saw answer the door last night, covered in blood and all a bit out of breath, and her hair half falling out of the bun and all of that.
So Blarg is going to leave, and he's going to head back to the tavern.
Okay. Fair enough. So it's early morning. You head to the tavern.
And I'm going to walk in.
Okay, you walk into the tavern. There are 3 tables of folks drinking coffee, talking. Humans. There's a table full of dwarves. Grover Blacksburg is working his way around, just taking care of business, serving everyone. And you come in, and he sees you, and he raises, Jonathan, good to see you. Welcome back to the Prairie's Edge.
Thank you. As I walk towards the bar, I'm gonna scan the room and make sure I don't see my friend Roderick.
Roderick, yes. You do see a lone figure at a back table, sitting closest to the hearth. He is cloaked in a dark cloak. He has a gleaming breastplate, long sword. He is there.
It is Roderick?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I'm going to say, my pantaloons fastened from behind.
The dwarves stop. Grover tensely reaches beneath the bar for something. Oh, come, Jonathan. Good to see you, friend. And your knight of the Great Protector. What is that? Knight's Protector. What did we decide he is? He stands up.
I'm gonna walk up to him. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna whisper under my breath. That's not the response you're supposed to give to the passcode.
He just rolls his eyes. Have a seat, friend. How are you?
Well, I am okay. I've returned.
I see that, because, well, you're right here. Have a seat. Can I get you a coffee, anything to eat? The parsnips are most excellent here.
Indeed they are. I had them yesterday, and they are fantastic.
Oh, you've been here already then, not just arriving. Well, sorry I missed you. Get held up on the road and the like, yes.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I was concerned when you weren't here yesterday.
All right, well, so down to business. You wish to see me. What is it?
I have information for you.
Oh, well, let me see. And he begins to fuss about. He's got a little kind of a satchel inside of his cloak, and he pulls out a little ink well and a quill and unrolls a little bit of paper. Yes, go on then. What is it? How have your efforts been? Have you learned anything?
I don't believe, Roderick, that we should speak of it here. I have taken the liberty
you say
of writing it all down for you. And he reaches under his cloak and he pulls out a little book and he slides it to the table. You'll be able to read it using the cipher I gave you before I left. You still have the cipher, don't you?
Of course, I always have the cipher.
Then you'll be able to read this.
Yes, very, very well. Okay. Well then. He puts his coffee mug on the big stoneware mug on the book. I take it the book is rather small.
Yeah, it's just like a small notebook.
He puts his coffee on it and slides it over to him very slyly. Kind of looks around. Pulls his blade out, lays it on the table as if he's kind of polishing it a little bit, fussing around with it. Kind of looks like maybe he's just trying to create a little distraction on the table while he fusses with the book. Pulls out a very folded, travel-worn looking document of some sort and begins to consult it as he opens the book. Do you wish to share with our viewers what Roderick is learning as he reads using your cipher?
So the book will contain a for lack of a better word, a diary of notes that Blarg has kept over the last several months while he was away doing Sir Roderick's business in the, what did we call this guy? He's a Knight Protector of the Great Kingdom. Right?
Yes, Knight Protector of the Great Kingdom.
And the book details his work, Blarg's work, with the Scarlet Brotherhood, where he has been spending time this past several months, and it details Blarg going to the territory of the Scarlet Brotherhood, and I'm pausing because I have to find where all this is written down. That he's been spending time in their territory, in the town of Ecule, and he was pressed into service of a man named Brother Gellin, and Blarg was sent to confirm the Knight Protector's concerns that the Scarlet Brotherhood may be mobilizing for some kind of conflict, as they are wont to do. And the book details what Blarg learned during that time, that indeed the Scarlet Brotherhood does seem to be gathering troops, and sending out assassins to one of the Scarlet Brotherhood's tenets is that they believe in racial purity and want to how should I say it? They want to reconstitute a former fallen empire, and they want to do that by making sure that only people like them are left. And so they have dispatched assassins to deal with some of the leadership in other realms, and that's what his notebook details.
Right. So you see, Roderick begins to kind of sharpen his blade as he's reading this book that he's got sort of shielded from view by his sharpening, drawing the whetstone across the blade's edge. Got the big stoneware coffee mug. Grover Blacksburg, the proprietor, with the incredibly beautiful this belt buckle. It's hard to even describe. It's so marvelous. It is bejeweled. It is ostentatious. It is silvery and shiny, eye-catching. People can't help but look at it. Even people who've seen it a million times. You find yourself drawn to it, even though you saw it just last night. And Grover comes over. Ah, Mr. Cumberbunch, I see you found your friend. A coffee or anything to eat?
Yeah, absolutely. A coffee and how are we with parsnips today?
Oh, yes, we have roast parsnips again, of course. It's a staple, yes.
My favorite.
Oh, very well, then. And you, Mr. Roderick? He looks up. No, I'm well. I have my coffee, and yes, I have everything I need. And he kind of huddles over the book like, nothing to see here. That kind of thing. A little awkwardly, perhaps. He's not a very... a little awkward when it comes to being stealthy and sneaky, as one might expect. And so Grover kind of mindlessly wanders off to fetch your coffee and your roast parsnips.
When Grover walks away, I'm going to lean in and to Roderick, and I'm going to say, I've told you many, many times that it's not wise to keep the cipher on your person. What if you're captured?
Well, they wouldn't know what to do with it. They don't even know what it is. To most people, it'll be gibberish. Such a clever way of... and he kind of looks at you, and then he goes to kind of ruffle your hair through your hooded... you still have your hood up, I presume.
Yes.
Kind of gives you little head pats, as he's often want to do. Just, you worry too much.
Well, that's my job, Roderick.
Well, you do it well. This is, and he closes the book. I've seen enough. There's much detail here. Very well done. Yeah.
Well, my time there was quite distressing, but as I left, I was able to grab a couple of things that are pretty interesting.
An eyebrow shoots up. Oh. Interesting to whom?
To me, really. One of the things, sir, one of the things Gellin had me do when I was in his service, I was like his
lackey.
Lackey, yes. And he told me to guard this box. I had to clean his room and do all this stuff. And he wanted me to guard this box. And I thought to myself, how can I guard? I don't know what's in the box, right? I mean, how am I supposed to guard it? Is he worried about it getting wet? Is he worried about it falling from a great distance? I don't know what's in the box. So I opened the box and took a look, and I found these. And he backs up and he puts his feet on the table, and he's got on what looks like they were once very elaborate, beautiful slippers that he's been wearing, but now they're kind of dingy and kind of gross because he's been wearing them, and his toes kind of break through the fabric in places. Anyway, he had these beautiful slippers. See how beautiful they are?
Lovely.
They're
You
gorgeous.
need to
they're
do something with those feet of yours.
they're made out of some of the finest fabric in that area. And so I thought to myself, surely he doesn't want any harm to come to these. So I put them on before I left, and I've been wearing them ever since. And they're comfortable, and they're just wonderful.
Very good of you to guard his belongings with such diligence.
Yes, and there was a love letter from one of his many.
You know how the knights feel about theft. We've been over this.
Well, I'd say it's not theft. I mean, if he shows up, I'll give him back to him. Just hold him. Keep him
Certainly, I'm sure they're in the very same condition they were when you protected them.
Well, you just have to dust them off. They'll be fine. They're wonderful.
Really should do something with your feet, Blarg.
To be honest, I haven't had a lot of time to do a lot of personal hygiene.
Yes, well, and as you guys are talking, you hear the din of yelling and a bit of a cacophony, something outside, people reacting. As I'm going to cut to Hebney, Daryl, and Arideth. You guys are coming into the kind of the northwestern edge of this small settlement. You see the trade roads come together in a bit of a crossroads. You see a tavern. The signage there says the Prairies Edge. Daryl, you've probably been through here before. Hebney as well. Well, you came right through here on your way out to find Dunbar. As you lead your horse and its cargo dripping onto the hard-packed, stony trade roads. As you wander into town, the folks who are out on the street take notice of you and have come to see what it is you have with you that is dripping blood on the stone of the roads. As you're kind of right in the center of the, you have. Goodness, I blanked again. You have the gear and sundry there. Yarner's Gear and Sundry. You have the tavern. You have a handful, maybe a half dozen people who've exited the outdoor fitter place. What do you do?
Well, Daryl, that's when I grabbed the guildmaster and I headbutted him. And the next day they had me out.
I don't believe you. I
It's
don't
true.
believe you.
The next day they kicked me out of Dex Point. That has never been backed.
That sounds like a Baldwin story. He's drunk. He's always telling stories. I don't believe
Lagging
it.
behind.
Yeah.
Is there a sheriff or a constable here?
You're greeted in the street. Fortin sees this young man approaching. He's got a leather apron, woolen breeches and tunic, sandy brown haired. He comes running up. Oh, yes, Dunbar, good to see you, friend. And Dunbar, aye, good to see you. Kelsey, God, I can't remember that guy's last name. Kelsey Yarner, these are my friends. We need to speak in private at once. We need to get this beast out of the road. And people have kind of come around, and by people I mean maybe a half dozen, 8 humans. Again, they men and women. They appear to be farmers. One of them has a horse and cart behind them, and they're fussing about because your package is leaking blood on the stone of the trade road, and they're beginning to raise a bit of a rumpus. And this is the
Nothing to see
rumpus
here.
that you hear, Blarg.
Go about your business. Mind your own business. Nothing to see. Let's get out to the street.
If anyone starts to approach too closely, Eridus is going to fix them with his just cold, blank stare.
Okay. Yeah, they all stop immediately with the exception of Kelsey Yarner, the friend of Dunbar Fortin who's traveling with you. He looks at you all. Yes, we need to get you off the streets immediately. Come, we'll stable your beast right away. I think, though, perhaps we might consider calling the whip. And Fortin's eyes get big, and he thinks for a minute. Aye, good idea. We'll send for the whip. Someone get the whip. and he yells at the town folk, and they scatter. Yes, the whip, right away, yes. And a few of them head towards a house down the south road. Of all the homes you've seen in Grass Flats, this is the grandest. Bit of a manor house, sort of a prairie house, sweeping porch, single story again, very, very low pitched single gable roof, sort of a metal sheet roof. And they head in that direction. Apparently, that must be where this whip is. And Kelsey Yarner moves very quickly to lead your animal, your beast of burden, if you will, behind the mercantile as a couple of kids follow along. Blarg, what do you do as you hear all of this chaos, essentially, all of a sudden, outside this sleepy little town?
I'm muted according to my screen.
There you are.
Is there a window in the tavern? That
Oh,
we look
yeah,
out
you
to
could
where
see
this
it.
is happening?
Yeah.
I'm going to look out the window. and see
Yeah,
what's
so you, why don't we describe the party? What would Blarg see? I've already described the, you see Yarner out there talking to them, starting to lead the horse. And you see Dunbar Fortin, who is a human, looks quite the adventurer. He's got a short sword. He's dressed in leather armor, cloaked. Looks like he hasn't shaved in quite some time. And then you see characters. Why don't you describe yourselves? What does Blarg see of the party as he looks out the window? We'll start with Aerodeth.
Okay.
They're very shy. It's very
They
shy.
apparently are very shy. Yes.
We're all just kind of looking at our feet. So he sees an elf, a very, very pale elf, wearing dark studded leather. The bands of the leather are different shades of gray, has a cloak. And when he tends to travel, he has the lower half of his face sort of obscured by I'm trying to think of what the correct term for it is, but
A thing that
scarf, I guess.
obscures.
It's turning bottom up. Yeah, exactly. One of those.
A mask.
A mask, of some sort. So,
Trying to prevent COVID.
Yes.
Yes.
smart.
He's got an N95.
that's right.
That's what he's got.
I'm not taking any chances. It was rampant in the Shadowfall.
That's right.
Yes, because Shadowkai tend to want to conceal their faces. So, and he's just gazing at everyone as a cold, blank stare. Anyone that comes too close. Next.
Daryl.
He sees Daryl, and so Daryl is a dwarf. He's wears a relatively common clothes, so somewhat battered and beaten, worn, and on his back is a shield that has obviously seen some action, and he has attached on his back as well a warhammer that's almost too big for him to be carrying, if you want to think of it. And that's the one thing on his body that seems to be almost it's out of place. It's just gleaming. It's not right. It just doesn't belong on him. He's got long red hair braided on the back, long beard, kind of brought over to the side, and you can see again on his right side of his face that it's clearly scarred and disfigured. But he looks honestly happy. He's looking around. He's looking for new people, trying to actually figure out what's going on here. And at the same time, he looks back at the horse, and his package is sliding off. He's trying to prop it back up and kind of get the package back on so that it kind of sets things up so that we can keep moving forward.
And then he'll also see a short gnomish man with sort of wispy, sandy colored hair, a chin strap beard that's sort of disheveled and maybe a little off center, big bulbous red nose, wearing a rather well tailored cloak of sort of a blue linen, blue fabric of some kind. He's got a satchel and a leather harness on, and he at this point is sort of shooing the kids away. He's like trying to sort of he's telling the kids to go mind their own business, and he looks like he's kind of grumpy.
Yeah.
And he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
You want to roll intimidation or anything, or?
Oh hell yeah!
Because a number of kids with all the furor have kind of begun to like come and see what's the fuss all about. gasping, and they see the blood dripping.
+3 is 19.
Nice, yeah. As you begin to bluster and shoo them away, they squeal, and most of them, especially the little ones, kind of shriek and run in all directions. A couple of the older, maybe teenage human boys still kind of stay within visual earshot. And so this is the scene that you see. Roderick stands and grabs his sword and looks out the window with you. What do you make of this?
With the horse, it's obvious, I take it, that there's something on the horse.
Yeah, it looks like they've got some kind of cargo strapped
Blarg
to the horse.
Does Blarg have any idea what it is? Can he?
It's
tell what it is?
tarped. Yeah, it's just kind of over the saddle. It's wrapped in some sort of a fabric material. It's kind of tarped up.
But there's blood coming from it.
Roll perception. That might be tough to pick up from where you are on the corner. But there's definitely some sort of a bit of a fuss going on about this arrival.
I rolled a 1.
Yeah,
1 is
so
2.
yeah, you don't see anything along those lines.
Okay. I'm going to say to Roderick, adventurers maybe? Loud ones.
He slides the book into his cloak very quickly. Why don't you have a look?
The horse, I don't recognize it, I take it.
No.
Okay. And Roderick.
It's a horse, brown, 4 legs.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go outside.
Okay. So, you guys see this little 3'8" gnarly dude in a cloak exiting the Prairie's Edge tap room as Kelsey Yarner leads you to the backside, the stables, with your horse. Blarg, you see them kind of follow the same way that Yarner took you around. They're headed to the stable. Couple of boys are kind of tagging along a little bit.
Then I'm gonna follow them, but try not to let anyone know. I'm gonna discreetly follow them.
Okay. Very good. Would you like to roll stealth or anything? You're going to try to, you could probably get it. Some of the grasses are fairly tall here in town. Again, this place was just built, think Little House on the Prairie, right? Without the rolling hills, but just slapped down in this grass flat. And many of the lots have very, very tall grasses.
What I want to do is I want to follow them, but I want to get into a position where I can see what they're doing.
Okay. Yeah, so you could maybe go up the side of the building and stop at the corner and watch. The stables are only, 20, 25 feet behind the Yarner's gear and sundries.
And I think Hebney would be sort of, as he's shooing the kids away, he's feeling a little like they're being, maybe noticed a little bit too much. So he's going to be kind of looking around as he shoos the kids away and follows the group.
Well, Blarg, let's have what'd you do for your stealth?
So it was a 24.
Hebney, why don't you roll perception since you're attempting to be perceptive? That seems like the right idea.
No, I rolled a 7.
Okay, yeah, so you don't, aside from these teenage boys kind of have your attention. They seem to be kind of not going away, and they're almost making fun of you, like they got big noses and they're smoking and look at the short little man scaring off the children. Ooh, yeah, kind of thing.
This is where he turns green and rips off his clothes.
Hebney's going to grab a rock and throw it at the kids.
Okay.
Not to hit them, but just to scare them away.
Yeah. Like over their head or at their feet or...
No, like at their feet.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll an attack roll. Like what do you call that? Missile attack.
That would be a 14.
Yeah, so you skitter a rock past them, and they kind of stop and look at each other and look at you. They're like, really?
So at this point, Daryl stops what he's doing with the horse, and he runs up and he goes to Hebney. Hebney, what are you doing? What's the matter?
I don't know.
Stop
I'm just
this.
angry for some reason.
These are children. Just leave them alone. They're minding their own business. This is insane. Stop.
I don't trust that one. I don't trust him.
It's like some small little blonde-haired child with rosy cheeks.
Yeah.
Back at him.
They're probably 12, 13-year-old boys, dressed dressed as commoners, probably, sons of a local farmer, that sort of thing, just buds hanging out, curious.
Hebney, I think we need to talk. Do you need?
Yeah.
We need to talk. Just
I
a
could
little
use a
bit.
therapist.
I can help with that. I can help
All
with
right.
that.
They don't come any closer now that the rocks have been thrown. They're like, oh, this cranky old man means business. So they just kind of stop. Blarg, I assume you're working your way up the side of the building?
Yeah, I want to get into a position where I can see what they're doing.
Okay. Very good. Will you be like perceiving, investigating?
Well, to the extent I need to do that, I mean, I want to stay hidden, and I want to see
Right.
whatever they're doing, and if I can hear them speaking, I want to be able to hear them speak
Okay.
and see what they're doing.
Excellent. Perfect. Let's do this. This seems like an ideal time for our in-game little break. We usually take about 5 minutes for stretches and beverage replenishment and other functions. So let's come right back at 3 o'clock Eastern. That's 2 o'clock Central for those of you in the Central Time Zone. So about a 5-6 minute break, and we will see you very, very shortly, and we'll find out what the heck is going on. Don't go away. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Gotta fight those kids, I think.
appears we've been rearranged a little bit, so let me just tidy that up. Because Zoom is doing Zoom things. But I shall not be deterred. Okay, so the party has arrived in Grass Flats. Blarg is now spying on them as they make their way behind Yarner's Gear and Sundries, led by Kelsey Yarner. With their horse, Blarg is kind of snuck up the side of the building to the corner watching them. Roll me perception, Blarg.
I am going to use another of my advantages. And every time I do that, my first roll is pretty good. I got an 18.
Excellent. Okay, so you've got a clear line of sight. You've stealthed wonderfully. So you feel pretty good that you are set to go. The party, what are you doing? Kelsey Yarner brings you behind and into the stable. The stable is open. So the building is situated on the northeast corner of the trade road. And there's trees around the north side of the building, and it is that side of the building where the stable is housed. You can't really see the stable well from the road. It's more open to the east. The west side is sort of thicket of trees and tall shrubs and such. You've come around the east side of the building. The front faces the south. You've come around the east side of the building into the back where this open 4-stall stable is, and Yarner's looking at you. Where's the blood? What's going on?
Yes, Meredith will get the body off the back of the horse and lay it down on the ground, and then start to unwrap the burrito, as they say.
Okay. He stands back in shock as you reveal the body of a human that's been hacked to bits. It's kind of starting to retain the form as it's been laid, face down over the saddle, arms one way, torso, legs the other way, kind of stays sort of U-shaped as you lay it down. It's beginning to stiffen up. And he gasps and he covers his mouth. And he says, "Oh, Sir Roderick."
Is that who I think it is?
Man. You know this man, Yarvin?
He's a knight protector. What happened?
He's dead.
Well, yes. How on earth did he become dead? Thank you for the advantages. Hey, Wilson, I got a advantage, and I'm guessing also a disadvantage. Oh, what's happening? Wow. Hey, Wilson is spending those Longbottom leaves. Nice.
Thanks, Dave.
So everybody mark your character sheets for advantages. Dave, how many of those DM things are advantages and how many of them are disadvantages? Because that's an important distinction. All advantages for the DM needs all the help. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, so I have 9 advantages. Oh, wow. Sorry, I used one a while back. I have 8. Okay. So, yes, you see the hacked and slashed wearing like what one would wear under their armor, their chainmail and breastplate. You see the hacked and slashed body of your friend Roderick Blarg, and you hear Yarner's reaction. "Oh, Sir Roderick, he's a knight. How could this happen? And he looks stunned at all of you.
Do I think that is Roderick? Does it look like Roderick to me?
Sure does.
Yarvin, do you know the horse? And what do you make of this shield? And Hebney will kick the shield out so he can get a good look at the insignia on it.
Oh, sure. And I will once again put that heraldry on stream. He looks at the shield, uncertain. I don't know what to make of that. What happened? Did you find him? Was there combat? You all seem without harm. I don't understand.
We encountered his horse just running for its life. And we were able to calm it down and stop it. He is as we found him.
Yes, this is. I've stabled this animal. This is his steed. Blarg, you can hear all of this as everything kind of unfolds.
Blarg is going to he's going to shout out. The Scarlet Brotherhood's in town, and as he does that, he's gonna take out his sword and start heading back to the tavern, running back to the tavern.
Okay, so you hear
Scarlet Brotherhood, Scarlet Brotherhood.
You hear this voice from the kind of behind you guys, from just around the corner of the building, yelling what you just heard, and maybe you hear the sound of movement.
And as I'm running towards the tavern, I'm going to bonus action my sword to. I'm going to say the command word, which is Shar, and the short sword is going to engulf in a greenish colored, almost like flames, but it's obvious that it's acid instead. But it's gonna glow in that greenish colored,
Okay.
almost fire.
Kelsey turns around. That voice is familiar. What's happening? What's a Scarlet Brotherhood? And he looks at the group. I would say anybody looking at Fortin, the blood kind of runs out of his face at the sound of what is yelled as he looks at you all, and he looks at Kelsey Yarner.
What is it, Aldergrove? What is this brotherhood?
Hey, Scarlet Brotherhood is large as a country way down south, but they've got tentacles and factions and assassins and thieves all across the lands. They're ne'er-do-well. That's all I know. I just know to fear them, says Dunbar Fortin, also known as Kalen Aldergrove.
Daryl turns to Dunbar and says, Dunbar, why didn't you say anything earlier? We had the shield. If you know of the Scarlet Brotherhood, why didn't you say anything earlier?
I just heard that someone yelled. I don't know who on earth yelled that. Whoops, wrong voice.
So you're not familiar with this shield?
No, he didn't recognize the shield. Okay. Is this the Scarlet Brotherhood then?
Your friend here was a member of this tentacled ne'er-do-well organization? Is that what you're saying?
And Kelsey Yarner looks aghast. He's just shocked. No, Sir Roderick was a knight protector of the great kingdom south of here. I think, if anything, he would probably take up arms against scoundrels that would belong to this brotherhood. I know nothing of them. And he looks quizzically at Fortin. The two are clearly as shocked and confused as the rest of you. Blarg, do you run into the Prairie's Edge tap room?
Well, as I run towards it, I don't see my other Roderick coming. I don't see him anywhere, do I?
Not outside, no.
I'm going to run in.
Okay. You run in, and the place has emptied itself of its people with all the hullabaloo. And Grover is in there kind of cleaning up and looking, what's going on outside? What is it?
Where'd Roderick go?
Oh, he left rather quickly out the back.
There's a back way out.
Of course.
Where's the exit?
And he kind of points through the kitchen doors. By all means.
I'm gonna run through the kitchen door.
Okay.
Run to the back.
Very nice. You just go back there, typical what you'd expect, a kitchen area for cooking, a stone oven, a fireplace, all the tables and things back there that you would expect. The back door is ajar, open to the outside.
I'm going to burst through it.
Okay.
Such as a goblin can.
Such as a goblin can. You come out the back, and it's grasslands. Some sparse, some grassy, a few trees. No sign of anyone.
I'm going to look around to see if there's tracks, hoof prints, feet boot prints.
Oh, sure. Yeah, some of the grass is matted down in several directions out to the road. This place is, if you look at the four corners, right, Yarner's Gear and Sundry, if you're looking at the four corners here in Grass Flats, is in the northeast corner. This place is in the southeast corner. And there are tracks going through the grass out to the west, to the south. They look like they all kind of loop around out to the road. But it's there's been people back here. It's hard telling.
But I don't see my boy Roderick. I don't see
You do not,
my baby
strangely enough.
Roderick.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna curse and goblin, and mutter to myself, "Fell for the oldest trick in the book," and I'm gonna say the command word on my sword, Shar, and I'm gonna sheath it.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna walk back towards the stables.
Okay. Very good. Party, what are you doing when you heard this voice yell something about the Scarlet Brotherhood and Dunbar explained to you what little he knows about them? What else are you doing?
Hebney would probably go to the door and look out to see who yelled, to see if he can see who shouted Scarlet Brotherhood.
Sure. Yeah, you don't see anything or really hear anything. Like I said, you might have caught the sound of a little movement, but that's long gone.
I'll keep an eye out.
Okay, so you're going to stand watch. Again, the stables are open. So I'm picturing, you guys have got the horse kind of in the center of the stable area. It's got walls, but it's open toward the building, the direction you came from to enter it, and it's got no roof over the stables themselves. And you have this body that's tarped. You have the shield on the ground with that strange insignia. You've got the partial breastplate that's been damaged from being drug on the road, and you have the scroll tube.
So Daryl turns to Kelsey and says, "Kelsey, we're here to find you because we're here actually to try to clear Dunbar's name. That's the reason why we're here. We came to find you.
Hey.
And now, what do you make of this? This horse came to us on the road as we were tracking here to come to find you, and it's clear that there's something more going on. When was the last time that you saw Roderick around these parts?"
Indeed, Dunbar kind of, corroborates what you're saying. And Kelsey leans back and he, kind of crinkles his face up. Well, I haven't seen old Roderick here in quite some time. Been nearly 2 weeks since he's been through here.
Before he left, did he come in to see you?
Yeah, we got him some rations, some feed for his steed here, and he was on his way. Spent the night over yonder to sleep easy at the cottages, as he's wont to do when he comes through, like any other time.
Did he say where he was going?
Kind of shakes his head. No, he doesn't say much. I don't get into the business of a night protector.
Did anything look unusual?
Not out of the ordinary, no. You see Dunbar just listening and studying his friend as Kelsey speaks. So, the sheriff never caught you, eh, friend? And Yarner kind of laughs a little bit. Dunbar, I know. I need you to verify I was through here before when the sheriff sent his search party back on one harvester. If you recall, it should be in your ledger, provisioned up, if you remember. And Kelsey kind of leans back. I keep those records. Sure, we can get that for you. What does that have to do with anything? And Fortin kind of scratches his, couple weeks, half scruff, fusses with his short sword a little bit. That was the day that Harrison, they found him and started looking for me, but it couldn't have been me. I was here in Grass Flats. And Kelsey nods. Yeah, that we should be able to clear your name then. I can certainly write a witness for you if you wish. And Fortin nods. And as you all are having this conversation, Blarg, are you coming back to the stable?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I have a question. Does Yarvin seem like his alibi is legit? Does he seem convincing?
Roll insight.
Oh, that's good. 22.
Yeah. You could, as Dunbar started to give the dates and so forth, one harvester, he was in town. You see Yarner kind of trying to recall is what it looks like. He's like, I'd have to check the ledger, but that sounds about right. You could tell these guys are buds. They know each other. Yarner's clearly in the loop with whatever's going on. So Yarner's response is appropriate to what Fortin has told you about them being friends and him being able to vouch for his whereabouts on that particular date. So you're getting the reaction you would expect from Kelsey.
Okay.
So Daryl turns to Kelsey and goes, "Perfect. So we need to take you and Fortin back to the sheriff to clear his name and be done with this."
He kind of looks at you
Aye,
guys.
but what do we do with this body then, Daryl? This is not our business.
He looks at Fortin and says,
I don't need
Any
any more
thoughts?
trouble. Really don't. I think if we can get Kelsey here to just maybe write up, we could. Where's the whip? Isn't the whip coming? And Kelsey kind of looks around. He could witness my boy Kelsey's testimony here. He's the burgher of Grass Flats, and that would do. I know him and Lucan are tight. He'd take his word. And Kelsey's nodding, But I'll tell you what, I need you, as a favor, to go talk to my man Cavril at the Blushing Nereid. Give him a message for me. I'll write it up and give it to you there, Dunbar. And Fortin, hey, no problem. I can do that. And as you all are talking, Blarg, are you headed back to the stable? Is that what you said?
Yep.
I would say you'd probably be back there at this point.
wielding his acid glowing short sword.
No, I put that away.
Okay.
What's your business?
I'm just gonna ignore them, and I'm gonna walk up to the body and look at it.
Yeah, roll investigation.
Investigation. I got a 17.
This most certainly looks like your friend Roderick, Knight Protector of the Great Kingdom. He's been slain by edged weapons probably a day and a half ago now. He's begun to stiffen. Still leaking blood is pooled a bit on the ground where they've laid the body. But this is him. There is a shield laying beside them, the heraldry of the Scarlet Brotherhood emblazoned upon it prominently. And that is what you see. This also appears to be his horse, now that you're close enough to notice, very specific markings.
What about as I look at the body, I'm gonna say, did you find anything else with this man? Sorry, I didn't mean to get all choked up. Roderick and I.
And who are you? Are you the whip?
No, I'm Jonathan Cumberbunch. This is my friend Roderick. Did you find anything else with the body?
Are you a goblin?
I know it appears that way. Did you find anything else with the body?
Jonathan, nice to meet you, Jonathan. What can I do for you? You look tired and small and green.
Well,
Green.
Well, you can answer, I think, my question, which was, did you find anything else with the body?
Oh, your question. Oh, and then hadn't he the shield?
He wants to know about the scroll tube, methinks.
Oh.
Scroll tube. Let's see it.
First, answer us this, friend. Who the hell are you?
My name is Cumberbunch, Jonathan Cumberbunch. I hail from the free city of Greyhawk.
And what's
And
your
this
business
man-
with this dead man?
This man is my friend, and I came here to meet with him yesterday, and he didn't show up. And so I was quite concerned.
Jarvan,
And
do
now-
you know this green fellow?
Oh, you're talking to me. Sorry. I was enjoying your role play. Yes, we met just last evening. He's been in town. How was your stay at the cottages?
I must say you were absolutely correct about the cottages. They were quite lovely. And
Yes.
the proprietor, Nora, just
Ah,
salt of the earth.
Wonderful
Salt of
lady.
the
Yes, we are good friends.
earth.
Yes, the earth. Yes, salt of the earth. Good lady. Yes, indeed. Well, I'm glad the lodgings worked for you. I do feel just terrible about what has befallen Sir Roderick here.
Well, I was quite concerned when he didn't show up yesterday.
Yes.
I'm certainly devastated to see that he met this fate. That shield,
Indeed.
that is the heraldry of the Scarlet Brotherhood. I believe the Scarlet Brotherhood is in this very town.
Fortin's eyes get really big, and you see a little, kind of the color. Aye. What leads you to that notion?
Well, I just this very morning went back to the tavern where Roderick and I were supposed to meet yesterday, and I saw Roderick and interacted with a man claiming to be Roderick, looked exactly like him, and now he's gone.
But your friend is here, you said.
I believe some foul, evil Brotherhood magic is at work here.
Aye.
It takes a lot to fool Jonathan Cumberbunch.
I see. Free city of Greyhawk, eh? Well, you're well traveled at the very least.
Well, indeed I am. The scroll,
Well, the scroll here is nothing but gibberish, but you can look at it if you like, and he'll toss it to you.
Yeah, so it's a wooden scroll tube, very plain. You see Jonathan Cumberbunch scrawled on the scroll tube in blood. It says, "Make sure Blarg gets this."
is it sealed?
It is, in fact, sealed. It's, sealed with a red wax, the color of the shield itself. And there's a signet ring pressed in there that has the heraldry of the Scarlet Brotherhood.
I'm gonna examine it and make sure it's not trapped, or I assume it's not, but I'm gonna check
That
it
would,
anyway.
I can't believe you're even considering such a thing.
I know.
How about investigation?
I'm sure that'll be fine.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
While they're doing this, Daryl turns to Jonathan and goes, "Jonathan, if we only had a linguist."
I'm gonna ignore him as I search for traps, and I got a 14. 14.
Yeah, it's sealed with wax, as is customary with such things. There's a cap end that you could see, if you gave it a good twist, it would probably pop the wax loose or perhaps tear it, break it, and would give you access to whatever treasures are hid within.
I'm gonna open it.
Yeah, so you pop it, poof, the wax separates. There is a rolled up document of sorts, some paper inside.
I'm gonna read it.
Okay. It appears to have been written in the same ink as what was scratched on the scroll tube. The red crimson looks rather bloody. Maybe a quill, very thin script, kind of flowery. Actually looks familiar to you now that you see it. And it says, "Blarg, I will have those slippers. And I cannot imagine the purpose behind the theft of a letter. If you do not return to Ekel by month's end, you'll not live to tell your tale. Not that anyone would believe a weak little goblin. Knight Protector, I'm sure." And then it's a little hyphen with the capital, the rune, goblin rune for G.
I'm gonna say, damn, that guy really likes those slippers. And I'm gonna put the message back in the tube, and I'm gonna slip the tube in my cloak.
Okay.
Does Blarg read this to the group, or does he reading this just like, is he in his own head.
He just read it in his own head. All he said out loud was, "Damn, this guy really liked those slippers."
Okay. Daryl
Likes
looks down
what?
Daryl looks down at Blarg's feet.
So you would see he's wearing what appears to be some very worn slippers. They're very dirty, crusty with mud and whatever the road has picked up. And you can see, they look like they were probably once really nice slippers made of a great fabric, ostentatious probably. And you can see some of his toes have kind of poked through the fabric of the slippers.
Daryl just looks at him. Beyond words.
You say slippers? What is this about, Jonathan?
It appears that the Scarlet Brotherhood is behind this attack on my friend, Roderick. They murdered him over a pair of slippers. How devious can you be if you murder over slippers?
Well, I mean, this is no business of ours, slippers and murderers. We have our own murder to clear.
Well,
I would do.
I'm afraid you may be more implicated than you think, having come across this body and brought it here. The Scarlet Brotherhood has eyes, and one of their agents was in this very town.
So Daryl turns to Hebney and goes, "Hebney, shouldn't we help our friend here? Our new friend. We've met our new small green friend with interesting slippers and big toes. We should probably help our friend." Hebney?
Friend, you say?
As you're talking, you hear a fussing about and some voices, and around the corner of the building walks this barrel-chested man. He's got a kind of a graying, large beard. It seems to be kind of that orangish yellow from, around the mouth and from smoke. He's puffing on a lit, kind of gnawing on a lit stogie. He's wearing a dark leather duster type coat that's, oiled, barely kind of trails the ground a little bit. And he just kind of pounds walking up, and he's got this huge bullwhip on his hip, and on his left hand he has the very heavy leather glove of a birdsman, perhaps a falconer. And he steps up and he surveys the situation. He nods at Fortin. He nods at Kelsey. Definitely what's going on here with this body? What can someone please explain to me what happened? That definitely don't understand.
That's Roderick.
That's Sir Roderick. And he leans down and looks, and as he does so, he holds his arm up, and this beautiful falcon lights on his arm, and it sits looking at everyone like falcons would do, right? So it is Sir Roderick. How sad. What happened?
Are you in charge of this town?
Walter Canterbury. They call me the Whip. And this dude is like 6'4", huge, robust. Looks like he's probably on the downside of his more badass day, but you're not sure you want to tangle with this dude. Big leather bullwhip at his side, falcon on his gauntleted arm. I'm the burger here.
The burger.
The burger of Grass Flats, yes.
Gotcha. So you are in charge.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So this man is, Sir Roderick, and you know who he serves.
Oh, yes.
He's been murdered by the Scarlet Brotherhood, and an agent of the
I
Scarlet
definitely
Brotherhood.
see that shield right there. It definitely is. It's Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Over slippers, nonetheless.
And an agent of the Scarlet Brotherhood was just escaped from the tavern.
He kind of cocks his head. Now, how do you know that? Escape from the tavern.
Well, because I was here to meet Sir Roderick at the tavern.
He's definitely is dead now.
And this morning I went to check to see. I went for breakfast at the tavern. They have lovely parsnips here.
Definitely
Have you had them?
wonderful. Yes, from Caverick's Cove.
Yeah, the man from the buckle makes them. With the buckle makes
Yes,
them.
yes.
They're delicious.
Over. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went in to have some coffee and some more parsnips, and Roderick was there in the flesh, alive, and I spoke with him.
Well, how is that possible? Because he's definitely been dead a day or two.
Well,
And he leans up, and you hear him, and off goes the bird. Sorry, Chipper's going to go look for this escaped person.
Great.
You say
He has something I want. He has
be
something.
be
in
safe,
mind.
Chipper. And the falcons.
So anyway,
What's that? He says you have something of yours.
he does, and I want it back.
What
He's from
what are
the
we
Scarlet
looking for?
Brotherhood.
It's a sword or something.
No, it's a book.
A book.
Notebook.
I see. Definitely.
But
Well,
he was-
I'm the burger here, so if I can help, we should get Sir Roderick better accommodation. Perhaps we might have a service. Do you know where he's from? Should we? Is there anyone we could reach out to next of kin?
Well, I think we
This
need
is
to reach
definitely
out.
very bad.
Well, I think we need to reach out to the Night Protectors and
Yes.
tell them of Roderick's fate.
Yes, definitely. Are you a knight protector as well?
Well, you can say that I've worked with them.
Definitely. What was your name again, sir?
Cumberbunch. Jonathan Cumberbunch.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, we can get a hold of them. Definitely the Night Protectors, and then let them know. They'll know what to do. I don't know that the Scarlet Brotherhood was here though, but Chipper will find him if he is.
If Chipper finds them, you should tell us where, because we need to apprehend this man
Yes, definitely. Very well.
and take back the notebook.
Ah, yes, the notebook.
I believe this person who was in the tavern murdered my friend Roderick.
Do you?
Indeed.
And you say he looked like Roderick?
I think foul, evil Brotherhood magic was at play.
Yeah, that would make sense. They do that. Very bad. Definitely very bad. And he looks around at Eredith and kind of, who might you be, sir? And he extends a big, meaty hand to greet you.
I'll look at it and then I will reach out and grasp it. I am Eredith Carwin.
See, where are you from? You from Greyhawk too, I suppose.
I am not from Greyhawk.
Ah, well.
I am from farther away.
Just the same. All's well. Yeah, and you, my good dwarf? And he offers you a gauntleted hand.
Oh, nice to meet you. What's your name again?
Yeah, I'm Walter Canterbury. They call me the Whip.
Oh,
I'm the burger here of this town.
yeah. Nice, very nice to meet you.
Yes, you as well.
You sound like someone I know.
Oh, is that right?
From back at home. Yeah.
Ah,
They call him the Rain Man.
definitely. Where do you live from?
I live in the Vestby Forest.
I
Small
see.
town there. Do you know of it?
Not particularly, no. Definitely very, very good mayor, though. Very good burger.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
very nice to meet you. Anything I can do for you?
No, but I do my bullwhip on Wednesdays. Yes. I do that. We can we could definitely take care of the deceased here. I know what to do. We have policies and procedures. As a burger, I'll know what to do.
Well, I'm a man of the cloth. I can say a small service for him right now, and a small prayer if that would help.
Ah.
He looks at Blarg and says,
Roderick was of deep faith. I think that would be appropriate.
"Okay." So Daryl puts his head down and lays his hand on the corpse and says a few small words that in Dwarvish that is probably only understood by Blarg, probably, and basically says speaks to his god Velnius and asks for forgiveness for all of the sins that have been had in Roderick's life and a small prayer for us to be able to actually find who did this to him. And with
And
that,
as-
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that with that, he covers the cloth back over Roderick's face and his body just to give some closure to his life, and also to be a little bit more appropriate in the setting.
And as he's saying the prayer, tears start coming from Blarg's face, and he starts going crying, and he reaches into his handkerchief, and he blows his nose, and he's crying, and he says, "Amen" in Dwarvish.
Walt the Whip will hang his head, as would be customary that a government official would recognize a poignant moment and do that. And then all of a sudden everybody, like Fortin, catches himself and lowers his head, and Kelsey lowers his head as this is all kind of unfolding.
And he turns to the dwarf, to Daryl, and he says, those words were not only appropriate, they were very meaningful, and I know my good friend Roderick would have appreciated it. So thank you for saying those words.
What your name? Cumberbunch?
Yeah, Jonathan Cumberbunch. I'm from the free city of Greyhawk.
Free city of Greyhawk. I have family there. I have family in the free city of Greyhawk. Our families may know each other, but
maybe.
And he turns to Hebney. Says, Hebney, he is our friend. He's a good man. We need to help him.
We need to find the killer.
Recover this book.
And find the killer and exact our revenge.
The book, the killer, everything. We need to help this man.
We also need to make sure we keep the slippers safe.
Daryl looks down at his feet and just looks back up at him. Still's not sure what to make of this slipper situation.
Tell me, friend, where did you last see this murderer?
Well, as I mentioned, I saw him in the tavern this morning. He looked exactly like my friend Roderick, and he and I were speaking, and then you all loudly showed up, and you were so loud, in fact, that I began I went to see what was happening. That's the last time I saw him.
So Daryl turns to Meredith, and have you ever heard of this strange magic? Something like this could. In your world, have you ever heard of something like this that could occur?
There is magic that can create illusions, make you appear as someone else. So it would not be unheard of.
Has to be pretty powerful magic. It takes a lot to fool Jonathan Cumberbunch.
I'll just look down and go, Perhaps we should go to where you met with this false Roderick.
Yeah, I shouted out, thinking you guys might come and, help me beat the crap out of him. I shouted out, there's the Scarlet Brotherhood's in town, and I ran towards the tavern, and I ran in. And I don't know, you probably haven't met Grover yet, but he's got this beautiful belt buckle. You really got to meet him. It's just
definitely
it's just
very
gorgeous.
nice. I think it's magical.
Yeah, it may well be. I can tell you this, I haven't had a better plate of parsnips in a long time.
Yeah, you won't. Not anywhere,
No.
definitely.
It may be the buckle that's helping him do that. But anyway,
No.
It's a beautiful buckle, very big, bejeweled, almost bedazzled, really. But anyway, I'll introduce you. You'll love the buckle. But he was there, and
Why don't you take us there?
And he told me that this is the important part. The second most important part is the buckle. This is the most important part, though. He told me that the fake Roderick, the faux Roderick, exited through the back. So I ran through the kitchen, out the back, and he wasn't there. He's escaped with my book, but not the slippers.
Meredith, you're a bit of a tracker, are you not?
I have some skills, yes. Perhaps we should go take a look where he was last
The
seen.
longer we wait, the greater distance between us and our quarry.
Yarvin kind of or Yarner. Why can't I get that name right? My goodness. Kelsey Yarner, the proprietor of Yarner's Gear and Sundries, speaks up. Why don't I take Dunbar here inside, and we'll have a look at that ledger and get things straightened away for his alibi. Whip, would you mind joining us inside? You could witness. I'll explain when we get in there. And Walter, the Whip Canterbury Burger of Grass Flats, looks around, kind of takes a couple puffs off of his stogie, and he pulls it out of his mouth, and a good half-inch of it is just kind of soggy and chewed upon and gross. And he looks around and he... Let's go have a look at your business there. Good to see you, Dunbar. Sheriff was looking for you here in town. What'd you get into this time? And they kind of mutter and discuss things as they go back into the outfitter. So you're going over to the tavern?
Yeah, I'll lead them that way.
Is there anybody left in the stable?
Just the party, the corpse, the horse.
Is it wise to just leave this corpse and this shield? It's our only clue, one of our only clues, unguarded.
Well, I'll take a closer. Let me take a closer look at the shield. I'll take a closer look at the shield and see if there's anything else interesting about it.
Yeah, you could roll investigation.
Oh, I can do that. I got a 17.
Yeah, so you look it over. It's largely more of a ceremonial shield. I mean, it has the leather hand strap. You can see where the scroll tube was tied to that. You can see the marks of where that twine or whatever was affixing the scroll tube to the hand strap inside. It doesn't appear to be something that would stand up too well in combat.
So I'm gonna say, I don't think it's wise to be carrying around a shield emblazoned with the symbol of the Scarlet Brotherhood. So I think we should leave that, and I hope that the burger, the whip, would make appropriate accommodations for my friend Roderick. He should the knight's protector should know what happened here, and he should receive some sort of honorific burial. But hopefully, the burger will take care of those details. I think we need to look for this faux Roderick and dispatch him before he comes back for the slippers.
Very well. Lead the way.
All right, I'll start heading towards the tavern.
So, loving all the names in chat. We got Fodrick, we've got Frodrick, Walt the Whip, Walt Whipman. Very, very nicely done. A bunch of wordsmiths here. I love it. So you make your way back across the Four Corners over to the Prairie's Edge tap room. And some of the people have returned inside, and it's just all a buzz. And you guys walk in, and they stop, and they look at you, and gosh, my brain today is just garbage. Grover, thank you. My gosh. Grover comes over. Yes. So, goodness, a lot is happening. What can I do for you, gentlemen? And he looks over the three newcomers.
Hey, Grover, these are my new friends. This is Grover. Take a look at his buckle.
And he kind of stands back, and you see this huge, like a plate, ornate, ostentatious, bejeweled, breathtaking, silver, gleaming belt buckle.
Where do you get something like that, Grover?
It's my uncle's. When he passed, he left it to me, and he left me this place.
You'll never find a better buckle than that.
Would you like an ale, a wine, mead, roasted parsnips, the specialty here?
Actually, Grover, if I may, I brought them here to find the fake Roderick that was in here earlier. Do you mind?
He went out the back. Yeah, in fact, I think I mentioned that. Yes, please, by all means, avail yourselves. Whatever you need. Okay. Could I get you a beverage started or anything for your return? I presume you'll be coming back.
Yes.
So
The parsnip soup and ales when we return, of course. We've heard so much.
It's not soup. It's more roast with an axe beak egg and a white gravy, but it's wonderful.
We'll take that then.
We get them from the parsnips are special. They come from Caverick's Cove, and he kind of thumbs in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and delicious they are. And Blarg will start heading out the towards the kitchen.
Very well.
Daryl's right after Blarg. He's just trying to help his new friend. So he's like right on his tails.
Okay, so you go out the back, and again, as described, the building sits on the southwest corner. The back exit is out the west. The front exit is in the east. And there are tracks in some of the taller grasses going out west, and then they bend to the north and lead up to the east-west road. And then some of the tracks kind of bend around to the south and east and lead to the north-south road. So it looks like, people have accessed the back of the building through the grass from both the east-west road and the north-south road.
So when we get out here, I'll point that out, and I'll just say I got this far, and it was obvious that he was gone. Which direction I'm not sure.
Meredith will kneel down and look at this. Once you're outside, it's dirt.
It's dirt and grass. Yeah, you're in the middle of a prairie, essentially. Yeah, so let's roll survival, nature, investigation, whichever's best for you.
I'll go with investigation. And I get a 21.
Okay, so with a
For
21,
the freshest of tracks.
Yeah, there are numerous tracks back here. It's been dry for quite a while, so you don't have the advantage of mud or muck or anything. Numerous tracks, but there are some feels like booted feet, fresh crushed grass that veer up to the north toward the east-west road.
They appear to be walking or running distance apart.
Yeah, probably. It's hard telling, not knowing the height of the person, but they're not long strides. They look to be sort of a normal walking.
See how far
gait.
this trail goes.
Yes.
As he's looking around and doing what he's doing, Blarg is going to say, "You're the funniest looking elf I've ever seen." I mean, no offense.
I'll just glance over at him and glance back at what I'm doing.
Not very talkative, though. That's pretty normal.
You track the
very talkative.
You track the boot prints through the grass up to the road, and at that point, the road is very, very hard scrabble, dry as a bone, and you lose the boot tracks.
Perhaps we should give up and go back for the parsnips and ales.
Jonathan Cumberbunch doesn't give up. Where does the road go?
Oh, boy.
Funny you should ask. So the town of Grass Flats you see there on the map, I'll also drop the map into the game in Discord so that you might have a closer look. But the east-west road is the road that the boot tracks led out to. If you picture a four corners at the center of this little burg, Grass Flats, this building is in the southwest corner, and the tracks go out up through the grass into the road, and then they either go east or west. There's no tracks to cross the road. It's actually not too far from where your trail from the northwest dropped into the trade road. But there's no sign of any fresh booted feet beyond where they went through the grass.
I will look up.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll look up. We see a hawk by chance circling, flying to the east.
Oh, the
west.
falcon? No,
Falcon.
no sign of Chipper.
Okay.
Hebney's going to look over to Daryl and just say, I'm all for making new friends, and Mr. Cumberbunch, pleasure to make your acquaintance, I guess. But We've been on a long journey ourselves and just now arrived to head off in one direction or the other at the flip of a coin, perhaps. When we could rest our bones a bit, eat, drink, come up with a plan to help you, should it be our decision.
Daryl looks back at Hebney and says, "You're right. Good plan. We need to help out not only our new friend, but our old friends. And Fortin, we still have to solve. We have to bring that to completion. And it wouldn't be right for us to just leave old Fortin here. Plus, we need to collect what's due to us.
That's right.
I need to bring it back to my parish, and you can do what you like with your gold. I would agree. The Sleep Easy, I stayed there when I was on my way out to meet you to find Bingo, and Nora.
Yep.
Nora Jones.
Nora,
Nora was wonderful. Nora, what was her name? Nora.
Nora the Explorer.
Nora the Explorer.
Where the hell is it?
Nora the Explorer.
Sorry.
Was wonderful.
Nora. Goodness gracious.
Nora, goodness gracious.
Nora Gremble.
Nora Gremble. Nora Gremble was a wonderful host, and I would agree that I think we need to head back to the Sleep Easy, maybe have a meal of parsnips here, and have a good night rest. Circle back with Dunbar. Get Kelsey to vouch for him, and then go collect what's due to us, and then we can help our new friend Blarg.
You know, I think what you're saying makes some sense. We can do your menial tasks and still come back and do this task, which is of great importance. But the advantage we have here is that I still have the slippers. So I suspect that they'll come to us eventually.
I have a question for you, friend. In the spirit of transparency, tell us, what is this letter that you received? The scroll?
Oh, on my friend Broderick's body.
Indeed.
Yeah, on the outside of it, it said, make sure Blarg sees this. And then on the inside, it said something about the slippers, that they wanted the slippers back, and the letter that came with it.
Who is this Blarg?
Oh,
We must find
well,
this Blarg.
so he looks around and he says, "Look, since you're my new friends, I'm gonna level with you. My name isn't really Jonathan Cumberbunch."
Daryl looks aghast. He's like, he cannot believe that someone actually lied to him and did not tell him the truth. And he stared like a blank face right at Blarg.
Hebney just pats him on the back.
Meredith will look at him and say, "Is this the first goblin you've met?"
I've traveled the road for a long time, elf friend, and I have learned not to paint with such a broad brush.
Mm.
My actual name, my real name. And you can appreciate, I'm sure, that these roads are dangerous, and there are times when you can't tell people who you really are, for that would be dangerous. So there are times when I use a different name. My actual name is, and he looks around, is Blarg, and he looks back like nods, like he's all proud, like that should be really impressive. I know.
Well, Daryl goes up. It's wonderful to meet you, Blarg. Whatever we can do to help you.
Well,
I love your pantaloons.
they fasten in the rear. Thank you. I think that we're unfortunately you're all mixed up in something very dangerous now, and I think again I understand that you have things you need to conclude, and I'm all for that. However, I think when you stumbled across my friend Roderick's body, you put yourselves in unknowingly in great danger. But the good news is that you found Blarg.
And you are saying that right now, our best chance of locating the Scarlet Brotherhood is the fact that they are going to come looking for you because of your slippers.
Well, I think that's pretty clear from the scroll. He's pretty ticked off that I got his slippers.
So Daryl looks back down at Blarg, and he's actually looking down at Blarg as a dwarf, that he can look down at the goblin finally to someone, and ask Blarg, what do you know of the Scarlet Brotherhood? Is there anything at this point that your friend Roderick felt so poorly about what happened to him? It seems like that this organization is doing evil, and potentially we might be able to help.
I know a great deal about the Scarlet Brotherhood. I have spent several months with them.
Tell me more.
Well, I don't know that this is the appropriate place to do that, but I can tell you that I know a lot. I was in the service of one. Roderick and I were working together, and I learned a great deal about the Scarlet Brotherhood during my time there, and I came back to meet him, to report to him what I had learned. And I believe they killed. I was concerned that I was being followed, and obviously that's the case, and they killed my friend Roderick. Ultimately, I need my notebook, and we need to find the other knights and tell them what has happened here. Although they have my notebook, they don't have Blarg's brain, and Blarg knows exactly what's in the notebook.
Why are these slippers so valuable or important to them?
Well, have you seen them? They're gorgeous.
There's got to be more than just aesthetics.
Well, when I was in the service of the Scarlet Brotherhood, I was in the service of a particular man. I was captured, and one of their members was using me as his manservant, lackey. Yes, lackey, and he told me that Blarg, guard this box. Among the other tasks that I had, like cleaning his quarters and doing his laundry and all that kind of stuff. Guard this box. Well, let me ask you something. How can I guard something if I don't know what it is I'm guarding? Right? Should it not fall from a great height? Should it not get wet? I don't know, because I don't know what's in the box. So I opened the box, and I found in the box this gorgeous pair of slippers made from the finest fabric I've ever seen. So I thought to myself, what's the best way to protect these slippers? I should keep them on me at all times. So I put them on me. There was also a note that I took, apparent from, it was in the box. Apparently these were a gift from one of his many girlfriends. So I took that too. And then I left.
Daryl turns to Blarg and asks, is there anything more that you can tell us about this man you worked for?
Well, he's not a very nice guy. He's a member of the Scarlet Brotherhood.
You did have your friend killed over slippers.
Yeah. Well,
Did you hear anything else? Any other stories? Anything else that would give some credence to his character?
for the man who held me captive.
Yes.
So he looks around to see if he just looks around to make sure they're the only ones there, and he says the Scarlet Brotherhood is preparing for war. They're gathering an army, and people like you and I, they have a particular dislike for. They view us as lesser beings. I mean, everyone knows. Anyone who knows the goblin creation story actually knows that goblins are, the favored race. But they view people like you and I as garbage, something you can throw away.
And at this point, Daryl he opens a small book. It's clearly like a manuscript and he's searching goblin creation story, goblin creation. I don't know of that. That's not the creation story that I have here
That can't be
in my text.
I mean, clearly you're someone who has great wisdom, who a man of the cloth. Surely you know the goblin creation story.
Daryl looks up and thinks, "Do I want to ask him about the goblin creation story?" Blarg, I think we need to go to the sleepeasy and probably rest and eat, and maybe over parsnips you can tell me the story.
Yeah, I think we should.
Goblin creation story.
Yeah, I think ale and parsnips are a good idea, and if I won't throw any theology on you that you don't really want to hear, but if you want to hear it, I'm happy to do that over ale and parsnips.
I think that would sound wonderful.
All right, so back into the Prairie's Edge tap room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you, the party arrived around midday, so it is with all of this investigating and talking and trying to unravel the mysteries that have befallen you. It is supper time, and there's a pretty good crowd in there, and you see that the burger and Kelsey Yarner and Dunbar Fortin have put themselves around a rather large circular table, leaving room for the five of you, because Baldwin O'Farrell is with you. He's just not playing today, so his character's rather quiet.
He's just very quiet.
Just very quiet, yes. And you see in there, bustling around, Grover Blacksburg, hustling to serve people. There's already a large platter of roast parsnips, axbeak eggs, white gravy. There's crusty bread and cheese. There are fresh fruits of the season, mostly apples, some grapes, late season grapes on the table. There's ale tankards. It seems that your friends have already taken the liberty of ordering for you, and when they see you come in, they wave you over to the table.
Blarg will go over and sit down.
Right. Hi. Welcome, says Fortin. We're good to go here as far as my situation. I feel it pales almost in comparison to whatever we've stumbled into, but thank you. Maybe tomorrow we might get right on the road for the cove, yeah?
I guess that's the menial task they were discussing earlier, sure.
Kind of cocks his head at you and you put it that way. I just need to meet with Sheriff Lucan and that damned Sigurdsson and get them off my back, and I'll be indebted to you. Well, not to you.
Well, obviously. I just want to make sure the Scarlet Brotherhood doesn't, invade and kill us all.
He kind of looks around and everything seems to be back to normal. Definitely, we need to be careful of that. I sent two of my men to to find your knights away to the south. We will give him definitely give him a proper burial in the meantime, and if they wish to move the body, so be it.
Great. That sounds good. Roderick's service is beyond compare. He deserves whatever honors the knight would bestow.
I still have 10 footmen here from Marner. We'll see to it that he has full military honors and burial. She'll be done. Again, very sorry for your friend. I've witnessed the testimony for Fortin here, so that should be fine. Lucan will be fine. That'll be taken care of.
Thank you for what you're doing for my friend Roderick.
Yes, of course, definitely. Again, I'm very sorry, Mr. Cumberbunch, that your friend was cut to pieces. Do you really think it's the Scarlet Brotherhood, though, really up here?
Yeah.
In Grass Flats?
Yeah.
Because that's a concern. I'm going to dispatch 2 men to the Archbaroness Evelay in Marner to let her know, just in case it's really a thing.
Make sure she knows.
Definitely will.
An agent of the Scarlet Brotherhood was in this very town.
Are you sure that was a thing? Definitely. An agent?
There's no doubt in my mind.
Because the whip doesn't like to look bad to her honor, the Archbaroness. I serve at her pleasure here as the burgher, and I don't wish for that to change. So we need to have our story straight.
The Scarlet Brotherhood is very covert. There was nothing you could have done.
I see.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
Yarner hands Fortin a scroll tube. Yes, if you would see that Gendor Cavril at the Blushing Nereid gets this message from me, that would be most beneficial. And Fortin just kind of nods and stuffs it in his pack as you all are eating. The best parsnips you've ever had, by the way.
Do we know the name Cavril? Have we heard of that? Those of us from Caverick's Cove?
Yes. Those of you from Caverick's Cove would know the name Gendor Cavril. He is the proprietor of the Blushing Nereid. I think that's how you say that. That is sort of the hub of Caverick's Cove. It's a tavern. It's known for he makes incredibly wonderful honeyed mead. You've drained a pint or two, or 10 or 12, or several gross, in your brief time at the Cove, and you've probably interacted with him a bit.
Knowing what you know of these brothers, Jonathan, will they return this eve, perhaps, to recover said footwear?
Well, that's not normally their the way they operate, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. This was all everything that's happened so far has been a not so subtle message to me.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye open, keep our heads on a swivel, if you will, because if they do return, there'll be a fight. We'll be ready.
Well, they're dangerous foes, so it's good to be ready.
If you definitely will excuse me, the whip has business elsewhere. But again, kind of this big hulking, barrel-chested stogie, almost burnt down to where he's been chewing on it. It's definitely good to meet you, Mr. Cumberbunch, and we'll take care of your friend.
Thank you. The pleasure's been all mine.
Sir Roderick was very, very kind.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, definitely. And he excuses himself, as does Kelsey Yarner. He heads back to work. So it's basically the party now plus Dunbar Fortin.
So when they've left, Blarg turns and says, "I love how everyone here has a name like the guy or the whip. That's really cool. I'm gonna make one of those for me."
It's a good idea. Can't think of one.
Oh, I'll come up with one. I'm just not ready to do it yet, but I'll come up with one. I think it's really neat. It like the hammer, or
Well, that'd be a good one for you, Daryl.
yeah, the hammer.
I like it. And you're Blarg, so how about the Blarg?
No, can't use the actual name. That would be can't do that. Maybe like the slippers, something like that. Something that makes people think, I don't want to mess with the slippers.
This is all kind of going over Daryl's head right now. I mean, he's just he looks like, sounds great. Thumbs up. And then at this point, Daryl turns to Dunbar and says, "Dunbar, my friend, is everything a square?"
Aye. And he pulls out a sheaf of paper. I have clear my name with this. Just breaking down when I was in town and how it couldn't be that I was on Harrison's property at the time of the murder and the like. And the whip, he witnessed it. So he should be in good shape. Him and Lucan are, I think they're somehow related in some way. Don't want to know kind of deal. But yeah, it should be good.
Okay.
I'm much obliged to all of you. I'm happy to see you get your coin for taking care of me.
In our travel to Cavericks Cove, it will take us
half a day.
Oh.
It's only about 12 miles from here, so we'll be there by midday tomorrow if we get up with the sun.
And just so that we know, we're like, what time of day is it right now for us?
It's supper time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
As Blarg eats his parsnips, he's going to say, maybe the Scarlet Brotherhood killed your friend. Keep talking about a murder.
No, we killed that. We killed that. That was a gnarly hag creature thing from another world, the ghost of a pirate that me and Harrison went on a wee adventure, and we might have pilfered a thing or two from this here spirit's domicile way north up on the bay, crossed down an island there, some pirate warlock feller. And let's just say he come for his things, and he got to Harrison first, and you guys actually led him to me. Thankfully, there was a bunch of you in the Druid in the Grove, and well, you won the day, and I'm grateful to you.
Well, that's good.
We can. I'll explain all that to the sheriff when we get back to the Cove tomorrow.
And then, so at this point, Daryl turns to Dunbar again, and he asks him, "Do you think there's anyone in Cavericks Cove that would be able to help us with the Scarlet Brotherhood? This problem with the Scarlet Brotherhood?"
He kind of sits back. Well, I'm probably one of the more traveled of the bunch in the Cove, and it's a smaller town than Grass Flats. Aside from we do have a good port there. To think on that bit.
Do you think that
sure.
if we could help our new green friend at the same time of collecting what's due to us and clearing your name, I think we could kill two birds with one stone. So to speak.
Devinder at the Mercenaries Guildhouse may know a bit or more than I about the Brotherhood. He's pretty well traveled before he came and settled at the Cove. And
at any rate, we might want to at least tell the sheriff.
Aye, yes, indeed. Lucan will want to know. Yeah. And
Indeed.
the harbor master there, he's going to want to know. Karis. Yeah, if you know him, Hebney, working. Don't you work down there, yeah?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
He'll want to know. So we'll get the word out, but it's just like Grass Flats. It's a small community. Cavericks Cove is maybe a bit more well-to-do than this little backwater here, since we're on the coastline and the fishing's so good and the farming is so good. And but we don't have the major trade roads. We got the coastal road that runs north-south through clear up to Carmick and Marner. But this here's a major trade road crossroads, but there ain't much here out in the middle of nowhere.
Ultimately, I think we're going to have to find the Knight's Protector. Make
How do we
contact
go
with
about
them.
that?
Huh?
How do we go about connecting with that group?
Well, they're difficult to find. We might have to travel to some place like Marner.
Walter the Whip Canterbury did say he was going to send 2 of his men. 2 are going to go to Marner to talk with Archbaroness Evilay, and 2 are going to head south in search of the Knight Protectors to make them aware of Roderick's situation.
Or maybe head south.
So I would assume you guys are going to finish dinner, probably get some cottages lined up over at the Sleep Easy with Nora Grumble. That sound about right?
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I think what
Maybe
we've...
maybe learn a little bit of the goblin creation story.
A little bit of the Goblin creation story. Blarg, you care to...
Oh, well, sure. If you haven't heard it before, when the gods gathered at the beginning of time and decided to create this realm, they got together and they talked. How should we populate this great world? And they debated it, and they finally settled on creating a world with the 2 most favored species, goblins and weevils. And so the world was populated with goblins and weevils for a long time. And to sustain the goblins and the weevils, they created a variety of vegetation and plants and things. But goblins and weevils, as it turns out, need more than vegetables to survive on. They need meat. But the only meat options were goblins and weevils. And the gods put in their code for this realm that goblins and weevils could only devour each other on their respective religious holidays. So that became problematic. So the gods, trying to solve this problem, decided to create the other lesser species and populated the world with that, so goblins and weevils wouldn't have to devour one another only on their religious holidays. They could eat other forms of meat on those off days. And to this day, I can tell you this: I stay away from weevils on their religious holidays.
So when this is going on, Daryl, again, head in his book, there's pages, furious. It's like he looks up at him. I know none of this. I have to write this down and bring this back with me, back to my church, and spread this to the understanding of the creation story.
Well, goblin shamans are the keepers of this wealth of information, and hopefully someday we'll run into one and they can tell you, they can fill in all the details. I'm not an overly religious man, but
I'd love to speak to the goblin shamans.
Yes,
I'd love to speak to them.
Very wise goblin
Thank
shamans.
you. Yeah.
Well, you're wise too, but the goblin shamans are like, super wise.
Oh, man. That is brilliant. I think with that, we've brought ourselves to a nice resting place. You guys will get your cottages over at Sleep Easy and do your long resting things and be ready to take to the road eastward to your final destination, to the comfort and kindness of Caverick's Cove. So, great session. Excellent. Wonderful. You're meeting so many people, so many NPCs. Great role play. I would like to throw Blarg, Chris, and inspiration for today's role playing. You really
Thank you.
stole the show today.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Very good. So that brings us to the end of episode 2, New Kid in Town. Yes, and things, machinations are set in motion. Things are happening. People have died. Plans unfurl. So next session, you'll head to Caverick's Cove. Fortin will get his name cleared, take his leave of you. You'll collect your bounty, and then goodness knows what from there. You have the murder of Roderick on your mind. You have the possibility of the Scarlet Brotherhood up to no good. Just so much, so many things. Yeah.
Belt buckles and slippers.
And belt buckles and slippers, yes. Who knew that this would be such an accessory-laden game? And pantaloons that fasten in the rear. It's like Project One Runway Greyhawk.
Totally.
Nice. All right, well, let's go around the horn and do some quick outros. Hebney Cragbeam, where can we find your portrayer? Where do we find Dave?
Oh, hi. Thank you. Awesome session, guys. That's so fun. Yeah, my name's Dave. I can be found over on the Guild Superior Twitch channel. Come and check us out. On Wednesday nights, we have a Greyhawk-based game called Beyond Saltmarsh. And on Thursday nights, we're playing Kids on Brooms, which is a fun, whimsical fantasy world of magic for kids. And then, on Friday nights, Eversalt and I are doing a fundraiser for Gillette Children's Hospital, raising money to help kids out. So come by on Friday night and check us out and hang out and say hi.
Excellent. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, give them a check out, man. They're fun. Good stuff. Okay, Daryl, Doc Shoulder, what's going on, man?
Not too much. So I'm Doc Shoulder, and it's great to play again, guys. Awesome session, really good. Thank you. Just happy to be here and be part of this great group. And I'll also play Castles and Crusades on Friday nights on the Blue Blocks channel on Discord. And so anyone interested in rolling up a character and coming by, all are welcome, and it's kind of you drop in and roll up a character and play. There's no commitment, and it's a lot of fun. So I would check it out.
Awesome. And speaking of Blue Box, we are going to raid into them. They're running some D&D right now. And that Castles and Crusades. That's the one that Phantom NJ, right? Rob runs that game.
That's
It's
right.
kind
Robert
of
runs it.
yeah, kind of a
He
West
does a great
Marches
job.
feel, like sit in and play if you want, kind of a deal. Yeah.
Yep. And right
Nice.
now it's actually in Greyhawk.
Oh, fun.
So it's he moved it over into Greyhawk, so we've been kind of around Hardby right
Okay.
now, and so if you want a little bit more Greyhawk, you can go over and check it out. It's
There's-
just on Discord, so you can go and listen in and not necessarily play as well.
Nice. There's never enough Greyhawk. All right. Aerodeth. Carl, what's up, man?
Hello again. I am Carl. I'm Carnage on the Discord, both with a K. You can see me here every other Sunday on the alternate Sundays, such as last Sunday. I just took myself on a solo adventure, leveled up twice, but Scott chose not to acknowledge it, so I'm still level 4. We'll discuss the treasure that I found, though, on the arthritic storm giant that I killed.
Sure that we will get to that.
Yeah. And no, this is another great session. This is a great group, and now we got to wait 2 weeks to come back.
That's right.
But it'll be
That's
worth
right.
it.
Yep.
But it'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it. All right. And last but not least, Blarg. Chris.
Hey, everybody. I'm Chris, WikiVA on Discord and Twitch. I have to echo everything that they've said. It's a great group. It was a really fun game. It feels like we've been playing for a long time, and we really just met, except for Carl and I, who have been playing a really long time. Great game. If you want to see me play Dungeons and Dragons, well, I'm not sure why you would, but if you do, this is the only place you can see me do it. I don't do it anywhere else. I had a blast today doing it.
Yeah, it was fun. Good lore dump.
Blarg exclusive here, right?
Early sessions, getting to know the characters, starting to get some little backstory nuggets from everybody. That's what it's all about. So we're getting our narrative set up, and really we haven't even gotten into the story yet. We're still working our way back from the hook. So that's kind of how it goes, man. Great RP today, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for suffering through my numerous NPCs and I'm just a little mentally off center today. So thanks for hanging in there with me on that. Had a lot of fun today. So we have a couple of quick announcements. Greycast is a podcast. Mateus and I have been hosting that since the summer. And we're going to drop another episode tomorrow at 7 a.m. And let me look real quick. He messaged me in Discord. The Greyhawk Grognard breaks down the Against the Giants modules in this episode of Greycast. So that'll drop tomorrow on Spotify, Anchor.fm, anywhere you find podcasts. So check that out. And in fact, we're going to be interviewing Blue Box, John from Blue Box here shortly for a podcast, as he is a Greyhawk creator, streamer. So the only other piece of news I have is, again, I just want to remind everybody that There Be Dragons. Next weekend, we're going to do the big Greyhawk Mega Stream fundraiser. Our game will run a week from today, 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we have the last slot, and nothing happens again until 7 p.m. So it could be a long day of the D's and the D's. And there's probably going to have something to do with dragons. So check that all out. But it's a weekend-long affair. There's a link to the donation through Tiltify. Everything goes directly to the to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Last year we raised $10,000. So this year we're hoping to crush that. So please, as you see, there are a lot of great streamers. Kayla at Time Lord's Wife. I think that's a game you're going to play in, Dave. That'll be Sunday morning. I'll be Sunday afternoon. Lord Gazumba's going to run a game. Blue Box, Lawful Stupid RPG, Praetors, Castle Entertainment, Greyhawk Reborn, Wicked Studios, and Trollord Games. So some really good names there. Really good D&D, but most importantly, we're going to raise a bunch of cash for St. Jude's, which is really cool. So if you got a couple dollars and a couple hours, maybe check that out next weekend. And we'll be here on Sunday for our game with that. So with that, let's go ahead and raid Blue Box RPG. And thank you all very much for hanging out today. Thanks to everybody for the subs, the bits, the hype train, a couple new followers. Mech45, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Let's see, North Shore DMs, that was cool. You followed. Kai Whimsy, yeah, they're new to the channel, so very, very nice. Thanks everybody for hanging out there. There's old Mech45. Let me hit the purple raid button, and here in no time at all, we're gonna magically be transported to the Blue Box game. Make sure you give them a shout from Wily Hobbit, and we'll see you next 2 weeks from today.
See you next time.